you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop unfriend me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dog.
Hey, Hog Twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website. Yeah, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What is going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me show, and my beautiful wife to my whatever side.
Be your left, but yeah. Hi, hello. It's opening day of baseball, if you can't tell. Yes.
Your name?
You said my. I thought.
No,
you
I didn't. I said my illustrious wife.
Oh.
I don't think anyone's going to call you illustrious wife.
My name is Olivia.
See.
Hello. Good evening.
Frickin' Astros. I mean, it's already starting this year. I mean, how can your pitching? You're 4-0. I mean, seriously.
How do you lose that?
I know.
Sigh.
This has been a crazy few days, and I didn't know that this was going to be this insane. Press the button live. So you got to remember, you got to add that to your repertoire.
Yes, I got to move it closer to me.
So 2.7 million interactions on just the content alone for the bridge and the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Unbelievable. We literally went from making nothing on our videos to having a video that's now been seen 1.1 million times, which is pretty cool, dare I say.
Yes, it is.
It's very neat. It's also paying very well, too, so thank you for that. We need it. Speaking of paying, you can... No, I'm kidding. We'll do that in a minute. The interesting thing about this, Liv, I'm going to back your light down one.
Okie dokie.
And I'm going to go ahead and give you the old Shinola.
You turn it orange tonight.
Did that? No, wrong one. There it is. See? Better.
My microphone just shocked me.
Well, that's because you're a shocking personality.
Shocking.
So I have been fighting stupidity all week. And why is it that all of the people who believe in conspiracy theory spell your
Wrong.
And you are wrong? I mean, what is it with you people? Like, this guy comes and goes, dude, I study pantomimes for a living. I'm like, oh, that's funny. So did I. But of course, I didn't say anything. And he goes, you're full of shit, Y-O-U-R. And I said, let me get this straight. You've mastered the 39 some odd pantomimes between males and females, and you're able to read body language at a hypersensitive rate, but you can't navigate the obstacle of second grade English? Give me a fucking break. All day long. There's explosions. Why didn't he drop the anchor? It was detonated charges. There's no way. Okay, you know what? We're going to do it all. You know what? I am going to stay on this until I get enough people to watch this show who go, wow, this guy, hey, we just hit 189,000 fans. 189,000.
Wait. Wasn't expecting that.
Come on. Get your sounds right.
And it's not working.
And it's going to go back down. Someone unliked it. Oh, see, that happens. That happens. All right, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. So, Liv, ignore it. So, so here's the thing. 188, 999. All right, it'll go back up. So, here's the thing. Is I have given you about 6.5 hours of absolute, accurate, and factual information, minus a couple of little tiny nuance. One is mixing up starboard and port, which that's okay. But that was about it. And then the other one was dropping anchor, where I said, there's no reason to drop the anchor. There's no way that that's going to slow down that vessel in the period of time. And that wound up being true. But they did drop anchor, but nobody knew that 2 days ago. So that's not wrong. So sometimes when you make a video, things don't last the test. Oh, what the?
There it goes.
It better stay there. So sometimes it doesn't stand the test of time because things change and we're working in the fog of war. But everything I've said, I have a master steward and master seaman. I know that sounds bad. From England, who has made a beautiful video. This guy essentially makes navigational videos. He understands the difference between channels and inlets. And I didn't find this. A viewer found it. And the viewer's like, here you go. By the way, this is exactly what you said to the fucking nth degree of what happened. As far as the tugboats, what the position was of the vessel, that it went through the first bridge, that it had entered the channel, it had entered the inlet, that rubbing up against a channel creates almost like a slipstream for the actual vessel, that it would move to starboard in this case, depending upon the overall rotation and the push of the water. All of these things I've said, 100% dead balls accurate. And still, I've got these people coming in here, you don't know shit. You're a disinformation specialist put out by the government. You're a plant.
I'm stealing this from Deborah on Rumble. She said Starburst is candy and port is wine. Do I have this correct?
Yeah.
This is how us normal folks think.
Yeah. So it's not Starburst, Starboard.
I know, but that's.
But what's funny is,
folks.
it reminded me to tell you in boot camp when I got Starboard Watch Leader, and I thought it was I don't remember what I called it, but it was something horrendous, and I got laughed at by the RDC. But anyway, so it comes down to this. The reason why we did part one is because there was a lot of disinformation that hadn't come, and I told you it was coming. And I said, I've been on this since 4:32 a.m. I've been involved. I've had conversations with police officers, with FEMA, NTSB, with actual 2 different captains. Since then, I've had conversations with multiple people, engineers, plant engineers, mechanics, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is that I told you all the things that were coming. I told you that they said it was going to be overall a hijack. I told you they said that it was going to be thermite, that there were going to be explosions on the bridge. I told you all these things. Guess what? They're all here. All the nut jobs are all here.
Did you expect anything less?
Holy crap, the crazies came out tonight. Well, Laura Logan, I'm like, already done that story. Sorry. I already did that. I did that 2 days ago. General Flint, nope, did him too. Sorry, nope, I already anticipated this. See, and what I've learned is it's great being right. So what I do is I get ahead of this noise now, and I jump ahead of it. So all the people who said it was an attack, well, now they've left that. All the people said it was a terrorist attack. Well, they've moved on from there. Now they're saying it's the government and it was controlled demolition. Next up, Jewish space lasers are coming. The Zionist space lasers are going to be blamed any day now. That Israel is upset that it didn't get its funding that it wanted, so therefore it's attacking the United States. That's coming any day now. And that'll probably be put out by Nick Fuentes and his Groyper soy boys. Okay? So now that we've covered all that, I am going to gloat a little bit. Mel, if you're here, would love to have you.
She's here.
Not right now. And Mel, we gotta have some brevity tonight, right? You just be there, but be that expert witness that I may need, okay? Because we gotta keep it. Your video when we worked together was lights out. People were stoked, but I want to keep it shorter to the point of make point, and then I'll make point, and then we just continue to not disagree unless we disagree. Sometimes we say the same thing and we sound like we're disagreeing and we're not. So let's talk about it, right? So what should I go over first? Do you want me to address the explosions, or do you want me to address the overall timeline of the vessel moving from 1:06 a.m. all the way up until collision, and with full animation? Which one do you want?
Let's start with the dumbest one first. The dumbest thing that people are saying, and let's just go down.
Oh, dude, I don't have to. If we're doing it by that, I don't have time. Let's do the explosion, okay? Let's do that first. Buttons. You got to keep pushing the buttons.
Yes.
You're not pushing the buttons.
Push it twice. I also put it in chat.
Put it again. All right. So PayPal me/don't unfriend me. We are a free service. We will always be free. We ask that if you're sitting around, you got a little extra scratch, you've given to veterans, you've taken care of mom and pop, you've bought yourself something party for the missus, maybe you can help us out a little bit. We do appreciate it. Go to paypal.me/don't unfriend me, or linktapgo/the dumb show, and you can actually donate in real time. It'll flash up there where all those people are liking the stream, and it's a great way to get some recognition. We appreciate it. Anything helps, that's it. All right.
I have a theory about the bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I say my theory?
Sure.
My theory is it's the underground lizard people.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
That blew up the bridge so P. Diddy could get away.
I think so, too.
I think that's the most intelligent thing that I've heard about this bridge thing.
I think when you state the obvious, it shouldn't be really called out. It's pretty obvious, honey.
I know, I'm pretty smart, aren't I?
Well,
I'm smart.
We're gonna find out how smart. Two donations that need some love. Want to do this very, very quickly. I did not have a chance to do this. By the way, a $500 tip last night. Ungodly. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I messaged you personally, so thank you.
My anonymous benefactor. We did not mention your name, as promised, but a $500 tip. That's gonna pay for some I don't know, carne asada. I don't know why I was thinking of that. But next, Deb, earlier today, called out $20. Thank you, Deb. We appreciate you. We forgot to do it, and I forgot to check everything. So that's my bad. It will not happen again. One more to go ahead and call out, and then we're going to get to work. And I know everyone's like, oh, hurry up, get to work. You know what? We've been doing this a long time, and you might be new here, but we like to go ahead and talk to everybody. We're going to go ahead real quick and mention some people and say hello and do all that because they keep the show going. All right, Ernest, you are amazing. Thank you so much. We appreciate your tip. Helps out. $10.80. That's better than nothing. Sharp stick in the dick. All the people who are here: Ramon, Amy, Lee, Maureen, Tommy. Holy God, 300 people. Jeez.
Already?
Matt, 300 people on.
Holy cute, 48.
Yeah, we've got almost 500 people on right now. We're starting to listen. It was a matter of time before we took off, so here we go. Darren, welcome.
The right time.
You bring it here. Listen, folks, if you're new, we love you. Thank you for being here. This is the Don't Unfriend Me show. We like to engage with the audience. If you have questions, put a Q in front of it. Not because we believe in QAnon bullshit, but it's one of the hardest letters to find in our scroll. So all you need to do is put X or Q. Ask a question. The mods will watch it. We'll get to it. Be respectful. If somebody says something stupid, leave them alone. They don't need to be attacked. I'll attack them if anybody gets to. All right, let's get to the explosions, because this is the heavy thing. Oh my God, I can't stop dealing with this. Like drama frickin' queens. Everyone's, what about the explosions? What about the explosions? What about the explosions? I'm here to say there were absolutely, with no equivocation, 100%, no explosive devices used in this situation. Okay? Now, you might say, Matt, how do you know? How do you know that? You're not an expert. No. I am not an expert, which means that I'm an EOD or I've done demolition. But I have spent copious amounts of time studying explosions from film, from satellite imagery, from targeting analysis, using different weapon systems, because that is my job. I study weapon systems for foreign countries, whether it be with wheels, whether it be propeller, fore or aft. Whether it be what type of firearm, explosive ordnance, types of bombs, missiles, weaponry. I have worked with EOD religiously. I have worked with team guys. I have seen breaching of doors. I've seen breachings of safe-like doors and reinforced concrete, reinforced steel. I have seen all sorts of explosions in my life, and this isn't my first rodeo talking about explosions. In fact, a lot of the Israel footage that I showed you, I broke down what type of missile it was, what range it was, who provided it to Hezbollah, who provided it to Hamas, where it came from, and what circa. So I'm pretty damn good at this. All right. So my record is I'm going to give it to you because you're like, you're not an expert. You're right. If you asked me how to go ahead and line up explosives on a bridge, I would essentially just get a cement truck and pour it all over the place and hope for the best. But if you ask me to identify an explosion, I can tell you whether it is or isn't because I will tell you what it is instead. Is that fair? Can we have that agreement, that mutual accord? Wonderful, great.
We have a first question. If you'd like to put on hold, we can.
12 inches.
You've answered that multiple times.
Next question.
All right.
I got it. You
got
got the Insta message about the black box time missing.
Different question.
Oh, go ahead.
This one is from Ashley on Facebook. Have you heard about the DEI theory of this? If so, what is your take on that? That the company that runs the ship is a huge DEI company, so this is a DEI mistake?
Well, I've heard all sorts of things. I heard that it was McConnell's sister who owns the actual company, which is a lie. It is a complete bullshit. She owns a company in New York. She doesn't own Maersk. It is a lie. It is not true. It was leased and sublet to Maersk. No. So that first one is complete BS, okay? Second is DEI. They have made corporations have done a lot of diversity hires in all sorts of situations to be DEI compliant. Do I know this captain? No. Do I know these people on the ship? No. Do I believe right now, based upon the information and evidence that I've seen, do I believe that this captain was negligent in their duties? I can't answer that question. The only thing that will answer that is a blood test, a psych eval, and a full investigation by the NTSB. So I won't even begin. But what I will tell you is from seamanship, from reaction and processes on what to do and not to do, everything that I have seen has been done correctly. I'm going to explain it further tonight. Hold on, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
So I don't care about DEI at this point because I will tell you this, the captain and the people on that crew saved lives. The Mayday that they put out was perfectly timed. I know we lost some people that were working there. I understand that's a dangerous position and we feel for them, but this could have been so much worse. The fact that they were saved, he made the right protocols, right decisions, at the right time based upon what I saw. And the fact that he got that thing fired up was on auxiliary power. We saw that on the starboard and port side lights. We did not see that in the front, the forecastle. We did not see any rear lighting, but you can't really have that angle. But to get that and then to continue to drift shows us that he was not under power. That even though that engine kicked off and we saw that very large plume of smoke for that restart or a reverse in those engines, either way, he did not regain propulsion, and that's what killed him. We'll talk a little bit about propulsion when I go into the elongated video, which is going to give us step-by-step a timeline of everything this vessel did. Olivia, what's the thing?
I read that this was a cargo ship from Singapore and it was on its way to a different country. It wasn't even going to stop here. That's what I read, but I don't know.
It was here. It's my understanding is that, so I
was
have
just passing through. That's what
Yep.
I read, but
Passing through.
I don't know.
It's kind of hard to pass through into an inlet that's going to hit land. So
maybe they were refueling.
refueling, dropping off containers, whatever it is.
I heard it was just on its way to a different country, and from Singapore. So maybe they were refueling.
I don't know where else they would go unless they were going to go to the West Coast. But I haven't even looked into that because it's immaterial to the conversation for me, because I don't care. Like, I don't care why it was there. All I know is that tens of thousands of maritime vessels have entered and out of that port, and this is the first time it's happened. I'd rather get to that, but it's an easy find. You can actually look and find out. If you go to nav data, you can type in the ship and the name. Now you're just gonna have to go find the name, and then you can see its actual route and what its last known origin, its GPS location, and what his billing was, where it was going. And that would be great information for you to look up real quick. Let's get to this explosion. This is the most important thing. We're going to go through this. Thank you, Vicky. This show has been crushing. I mean, look at it right now. I mean, we had almost 175 on the day, and now we're almost at 400 and something. All right, let's get to this. This video is the thing that has been driving people. I've lost more followers in the last day as far as people who I really liked. And I still do. I like these people. They mean a lot to me. And I hate to see people go. But I'm not going to kiss your ass to stay. If you don't like what I have to say, maybe it's just time to move on. We don't have to love each other, right? We just have to respect each other. And if you ask me a question, Matt, what about the explosions? And I say, what explosions? And you're like, the explosions on the right side. I'm like, there weren't any. And then you get mad at me and decide to leave. Well, that's on you. That has nothing to do with me. Let's go ahead and watch this once again. Okay. Now, this is in sped up time. At this point, there's no explosions. There's nothing. You don't see anything other than vehicles scrambling. And this is at an 8x speed. So this is very, very fast. Liv, watch this. This is important because we're gonna have a test later. Okay. So here's the power loss. Thank you, Vicky, for your donation. We love you. I'll put it in a second. First power loss. Still no explosions. Okay, I don't want you to watch the ship. We've seen this. We'll watch the ship in a minute. I've got that breakdown. Okay, there is now your secondary plume of smoke. Okay, now watch. Okay, lose power, power loss 2. And we tried to see recovery. And let's get ready. Stopping it. Okay. The first thing we see, let me see if I can zoom in. I don't think I can. I don't think I can go any further. Okay. The first thing we see is obviously, he is now hitting concrete and he's hitting the dredge. So he's hitting the bottoms. He's hitting where that support column is. We're getting water kick up here, okay? So vessel hits that. That's where there's going to be some damage, obviously, right? There's going to be some surface damage on the railings. We've seen that. But predominantly, like I said, it's going to be underneath in the hole. That's where you're going to see it now, and in the ballast and everything else. So you have the vehicle coming in. Now watch what happens. Immediately, you already have failure. You have failure. You saw the collapse. Did everyone see it? It's starting. Ready? 1, 2, and first drop. Did you see it? Mm-hmm. Everyone saw it. First drop. Boom. Where are the explosions? They're not. Okay. So now all conversation's over. Because if the bridge has already dropped, why would you need explosions? Let me say it again. If the bridge is already in free fall, why do you need explosions? You saw the entire bridge from this section to over here completely fall. Like I explained in 2 videos ago, where if you went ahead and did a plank and took out your elbows, you'd fall face first. This column right here would be your feet. And the entire thing would just snap, whoop, and you would go down. Your feet would still remain up, and maybe even a section of that bridge would. But if it's already in free fall mode, why do you need explosions? Well, Matt, they needed redundancy. Nobody could leave alive. The people who perpetuated this had to make sure that bridge went down. Okay, fine. Let's watch that then. Fine, I hear your argument, so let's go ahead and watch it. No explosions. None. Wait a second. Nope. Still no explosions.
Can't even imagine being on that bridge in the car right there.
I know. No explosions. No explosions. No explosions. No explosions. Whoop. Whoa, wait. First possible explosion right here. Right here. It's already down. But Matt, it's thermite. Well, why didn't we see it before? And do you understand what thermite does? Do you understand how bright thermite is? It's much brighter than Willie Pete. It's much brighter than white phosphorus. Thermite is absolutely like an acetylene torch in the eyes. You would know if it's thermite. Do you want to know what that is? Well, let me explain something. Who here, raise your hand, has used an axle grinder? Okay, we're done. We're done. When you use an axle grinder, sparks, 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 metal on metal. You are talking about an unbelievably massive amount of force. And that is called shearing. When metal hits metal, and when that comes together and there's slippage, that heat is immediate. Something has to give. The amount of energy, the hundreds of thousands of pounds collapsing in on itself, and two pieces hitting like two thunderheads over the Arizona desert are going to release energy. You are going to see them scrape and sparks will fly. You are also seeing where transformers and where wiring, where that entire bridge is wired to replace rivets, for painting machines, to sand it down, to go ahead and do arc welding, for lighting, and everything else. That entire bridge is under power. So you saw a quadrant of a cable snapping like a transformer. And if anyone's seen a transformer go out or a cable snap from a telephone pole, you've seen the sparks. You have that wiring hitting metal. It's going to arc. It's going to go ahead and spark. There is no thermite there. That is a flash of sparks that dissipates. And thermite does not dissipate and cool in the air like sparks. Thermite is literally plasma. And it will stay hot until it hits that water. Those sparks would be going all the way down and creating secondary fires on the ship. That is what thermite does. It eats through everything. There's no thermite. Okay, Matt, but that's not the one we really want to look at. We want to look at over here. Yeah, I'm going to get to that one too. Still intact on the first primary pylon, right? Fair enough? Good. How come nobody talks crap in me in these threads, but they always do it on Facebook? I got 400 and something people on. It's always, why don't you guys ever stop by live? It's always, I always wonder that. Here it is. Once again, look at that. It disappears. Sparks are gone. Like a sparkler on 4th of July. Thermite doesn't do that. Now, wait a second. Oh, see that? That's an electrical pop.
That is, yeah.
It's an electrical pop. Boop. That's the cable snapping from that pylon to that section. Bzz. That's all that is. It's not an explosion. Okay? Now, no explosion here. Wait a second. Where are all the explosions? They're supposed to take that down. Where are they? What happened to those explosions? It's called inertia. I've told you. I explained how the bridge collapsed. I told you how suspension bridges work. I've already addressed this. But let's go ahead and talk about these now. Now, watch what happens, everybody. Watch close. As this section collapses in on itself because the inertia of 60% of the bridge drops. And a bridge, everybody knows, does this, especially in high winds, so it doesn't snap and break. It's not a solid platform. Bridges are designed to absorb energy. They're designed to absorb certain amounts of impact, like storms, high winds, seas, etc., etc. A ton of vehicles going over them. There has to be some give. The only problem is it distributes the energy equally. So when that first impact happened, it transferred down to the foundation and up throughout the entire infrastructure of that bridge. It's not designed to take that abuse. It's not designed to take 150,000 pounds of inertia at 8 knots. All right, let's look at these explosions because everyone says they are. Here they come. They're sequential. There's going to be one on the south side and the north side. South side's here. North side's up here. Let's go ahead and watch it. Once again, why would you have explosions go off after it's already fallen? It's already falling. It's already done. The damage is done. Who's popping off these explosives? What are they waiting for? Second coming? Waiting for Donald Trump to work the plan. It's the plan. Here we go. First set. Now, follow me. You have a horizontal surface. You have a vertical surface. That weight comes down horizontal on vertical, and it's not going to be able to support it, folks. It is going to shear. And when you get metal on metal, anyone who's watched Highlander, there can be only one. A Conor MacLeod from the Clan MacLeod. I'm from the shores of Loch Finnan from 1692. I am immortal and I cannot die. When you see two blades cross and they go ahead and the Toledo Salamanca broadsword crosses the Japanese Kadea frickin' samurai sword, you see sparks. Anyone in metallurgy can tell you that. The same thing happens here. Just imagine a giant crossing saber duel. Now here they come. Relax. It's not thermite. First contact. I'm going slow. There it is. See the shearing? Mm-hmm. Shearing. Sparks. There be sparks. Look on the other side. Once again, same thing. Ready? It fell at two different angles. It hit the southern side first. Southern side collapsed. Northern side hit. Watch. Watch it again in slow motion like Kennedy back and to the left. Southern side hits first. Shearing. Then see it collapse to the left. See? Then it hits. Okay? And here are what is more than likely a transformer, but all that metal is just getting sheared. And look at it, melts it like a freaking hot knife through butter. Do you see it? That support column is literally denser than freaking Captain Hook's left hand. And then you have single beams here. It cuts through it like butter. And all of that is what is known as shearing. Let's watch it in real time, okay? Because, I could have had some trickery. Watch it in real time. It is electrical wires. I already said it was electrical wires. I said shearing and electrical wires the whole time.
Oh, yeah, quick.
Okay. Any questions? No, I didn't think so. We're done. If I hear explosion one more time, I'm going to barf.
All right. We got a couple of questions.
How come I can't see chat?
I don't know.
Okay. Go ahead.
First question.
When's the last question we've had?
There's been a few, but I've let you do the video. First question was, do you know where the camera was that was recording? Was that on a buoy? What was it?
Okay, so now this is going to be purely speculative because I can't see if I can get my comments up. Why can't my comments come up? Hold on. Hold on, y'all. I'm going to try to get my comments up again. I can't. For some reason, I can't see anybody's comments. This isn't good.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this doesn't help. Q. Somebody type something. Is the last thing that... Let me see. Last thing. I got please give us a thumbs up and share and subscribe. When's the last time you did that?
That's my last comment on YouTube.
How long?
Minute.
Okay. So, all right, then let's just do this. I just can't see everybody's chats. I can see YouTube. Are we not on Facebook?
Oh, we're on. See if you can read. I just wrote hello on Facebook. See if you can read it.
Yeah, I'm not getting Facebook love.
I'm typing hello on
Folks,
YouTube.
with 400 people on, we should be at higher than than 87 likes. Do me a favor, step out for 1 second, like the show, please. If you can't throw a little, scratch over our way, throw a like. I mean, that's the least you can do. You got 400 people here. We could at least get a couple hundred likes on this thing to get this sucker flying. So please do me that favor. Just do us that much for how hard we work. All right, now
Another question.
Oh, let me answer it.
Oh, yes.
So, okay, all up and down that inlet, there are going to be cameras. These cameras are all placed for various reasons. One is to check for FLIR. Somebody goes in the water, jumps off the bridge. That's one way. You're going to have people take overall observation and ratings of captain's performance, their trajectory, their line, their overall speed, their bearing. All these things are tracked. They do that also for any other reason, any other type of situations like this. Cameras are there for all sorts of reasons. Okay. They're there for collisions and accidents with other vessels. So they're all along the place. I mean, they're everywhere. There's some on the bridge too. There's going to be footage that we haven't seen. There's going to be footage on the bridge where there are cameras. You're going to see footage from the toll booths because they have 360-degree cameras because they capture license plates. Those things are in a constant state of record. So when people fly through it, they're recording at all times. Now you see the flash, but it's always recording. So those are going to be there. So you're going to get plenty of footage. But right now, these are all, maritime type cameras that are all along on the inlet. And that's why you have those photographs. Now, there is a photograph going around. I want to debunk it right now because it's bullshit. It's not true. It's a lie. This is from October 2020. And I think this was a Minsk bridge that was in Crimea. Yeah, I think it's Crimea. Hold on. So people are saying that this was the explosion on the bridge. So people are taking this picture and this video and saying, "Hey, this is what happened in the Francis Scott Key Bridge." And people have seen this photo. In fact, it's all over Twitter, and people are just eating it up. And they keep espousing this is real. It's not. It's fucking fake. Well, it's not fake. This was October of 2022. Was this article, and this video is a Crimea bridge, and it shows an explosion that took place. A lot of you know that I covered this. So when I saw it, I immediately started laughing because I saw this explosion and played it on the show. This is not from it. So this is fake, number one. The other videos we're seeing are also getting some alterations. There's that video I just showed you, which is the original, and I put these all on my hard drive on my database, and I have a server that when I download a clip or download a video or download a photo, I put it up on my server so I get to keep the original. That way it's never touched. And then I have a hard copy of all my stuff too that's encrypted like nobody's business. Now, the video has been altered several times with people using AI and using overlays and things to that effect, adding explosions, adding plumes of smoke, adding thermite. This is all bullshit. This is the video. Okay. Now you either can trust me or I'm a disinformation specialist. I'm controlled opposition. My I-9s are available for you. My company is an open book. It's Don't Unfriend Me LLC. It's a proprietorship. It is a sole proprietorship between my wife and I, and you can look at our income tax records and you can have those under the Freedom of Information Act. If you don't want to go through the Freedom of Information Act, you can simply write me, owner@don'tunfriendme.com. I'll have them in your inbox within seconds. And you can see my finances and you can see if I'm a paid shill or not. I'm not. If you watch my show for freaking more than 2 minutes, you will figure out what I am and what I'm not. And what I am not is bought. Okay, good.
All right, more questions.
Yeah, more questions.
Okay, so these two kind of go together. Have you figured out what was in the containers? And then CBS said that there were containers damaged and hazardous material was thrown into the water.
About 55,000 either pounds or gallons of hazardous material, which surprisingly enough is not that much, based upon the vessel. If they were dumped in, it's going to be because those containers were hit by the falling debris of that bridge and crushed them. As far as going into the bridge, my understanding is FEMA is not out there. So it's NTSB right now is out there.
What is NTSB?
National Travel Safety Board. They take care of all things airline. They do the investigations in airplane crashes. They railroad crashes, boat issues, anything maritime in the water is NTSB. but my understanding is FEMA is not there. I know the Army Corps of Engineers out there. I got a buddy out there who's working on it right now. So Army Corps of Engineers out there, and they're shitting purple Twinkies looking at this saying, this is going to take a long time. I told you last night that I'd be surprised if this was fixed in a decade. Now people are coming back and saying, yeah, this is probably going to be 10 years. Go figure.
Jeez.
So the question being is, if it was a massive spill, this is, we talked about tributaries last night, and we talked about having those multiple stacks of rivers coming through. This is qualified as a river. I know it's ridiculous. It's brackish water. Whatever. It doesn't look like a river to me, but it is a river, and it flows like a river. Surprisingly enough, it is extremely fast. That is one thing that Laura, whatever that chick's name is that I did the video on, she was right about and I was wrong, is that it is a river. And I openly admitted that and said I was sorry. I'm not sorry for anything else. I'm sorry for that. But it's my understanding that did spill and there was some spillage, but FEMA is not out there to my understanding. They don't have hazmat and cleanup crews out there. EMI is not out there that I know of. So a lot of these emergency response teams that would come out there, whether it be NEST or EMI or FEMA, have not been in the area. So as far as cleanup, it can't be that big of a concern for them, considering that a lot of this at the bridge is headed south, and there's not a lot of intake rivers on the south from the map that we saw. That's my guess. But either way, the big issue right now is throughfare. That's the thing. They've got to clear as much of this bridge as they can so they can open up this port and at least get the export out. Getting it to the dock, there's going to be plausible solutions. It's going to be harder with ferrying and stuff, but ultimately they might need to bring in some large oversized cranes on the eastern side of the inlet, whatever that's going to take. But right now, the number one concern is getting the debris field clear to open up the channel. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is my question.
Yeah.
I know under the Golden Gate Bridge, there's these like big islands that surround it, and they're cement, and that has saved that bridge from falling down
That's a
several
great
times.
question. Great
How
question.
come this bridge didn't have it?
It's called, those were retrofitted on the Golden Gate Bridge, number one. Number two, the overall depth and the overall buildup of what they did with the Golden Gate Bridge, because of sheer size, those reinforcements had to be in place. And to put those dolphins on there and retrofit them is quite easy. This bridge is not the same. It's not the same weight. It's not the same size. It's not even close to the same volume of the Golden Gate Bridge. So the foundation's different. This foundation never had dolphins. Now, dolphins are, you will see, two concrete blocks, and they look very much like bollards, which are in front of Target. You know, those big metal balls. So we had them in front of the Apple store where you couldn't drive a car through. Otherwise, your engine block would be in your trunk if you tried to. Those dolphins are designed with they're rebar, they're reinforced concrete. They are extremely resistant, 20, 25 feet of circular concrete and multiple stacks of them to stop any vessel. But then as a fail-safe, they have the bumpers, which go around the pylons, which are usually full of rock. It is a long cylinder type that goes around the foundation, where if that gets past those dolphins, that it hits that area, it's very similar to what we saw in California when they had the semi trucks that would go up on the side of the road, would have gravel, that 100-foot incline down the Grapevine where that semi truck could go up and hit sand and hit gravel and slow down. It's the same type of thing. It ruins the ship, but ultimately keeps the bridge intact. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you think when they rebuild the bridge, they're going to put them up?
Yeah. Well, they're not going to have a choice. They're going to find that those would have more than likely. I still think going 8.5 knots and 150,000 tons, nothing was going to save that bridge. Even if you, I don't know. That is a lot of inertia. That is a lot of speed, and it was not under power. It was no propulsion. It was a dead stick, and that thing hit it dead center. I don't know. I would assume if these dolphins were back far enough that it could have, but I just don't know the answer to that question.
Got it.
But I promise you this, like the World Trade Center, they're going to retrofit this the proper way. They're going to fit it so this can't possibly happen again until the next accident or the next terrorist event or the next time Jewish space lasers decide to blow up the bridge.
All right. More questions.
Oh, boy.
People have questions. People were asking, was it going under the bridge or already through? And why was it on the side of traveling and not already leaving? Was it departing the dock?
Yeah. Okay. So yes, it was. So I'm going to show you a video now. And this is where this is cool. This is freaking kick ass. But essentially, if you look at the inlet, the way it comes up is it essentially looks like the Eye of Sauron. Okay. And where this harbor is, it's up at the top and on the sides. And the vessel was on the eastern side. Western side. Oh shit, I'll have to look at the map. But let's do this. Let's break out this video because this is what I really want you to watch. This is going to answer that question. Did we have any other questions before I get to this? Because this is kind of this is the big honker.
I think that's it so far, unless I missed one on Facebook. If I have, just tag me in it or something. Also, Mel just wants to know when you want her to call in.
Yeah, I got chat back. I can see. So Mel, somebody said, relax. Oh, definitely no explosion, structural failures. Yes, yes, yes.
I just got another question.
Okay, Tracy says, well, let's figure this out. It's a China ship operated by a Ukrainian with hazard chemicals aboard that, well, first of all, okay, let's just slow down. Most of the ships that are cargo based are Chinese. Just like you're going to have three major groups that are going to own ships. It's going to be China, it's going to be the Middle East, and it's going to be the United States of America and Europe. Four. But China is going to own by far the most shipping containers and ships that you could possibly imagine because they do the most exports out of any fucking country. So it's China that doesn't really matter to me. Okay. And when you say it's China, you can't sit here and say Malaysia, the Philippines, Sumatra. You have to be distinct, right? So if you say it's coming from Sri Lanka, you can't say it's China. If it's coming from Taiwan, you can't say it's China. If it's coming from Japan, you can't say it's China. I know it's easy, but that's not necessarily the way it is. So you can't just say it's coming from China. Okay, where is it coming? Yeah. Where did they say it was coming from, Liv?
I thought Singapore is what it said.
All right. So does everyone understand there's a difference between Singapore and... Okay. I mean, a lot of people think Singapore is China. Like it's in China. Has everyone seen a map? Take a look. Then let's figure this out. Operated by a Ukrainian. Okay. What's wrong with that? I thought we loved Ukrainians. Oh, wait. No, we don't. Okay. Who cares? Like that doesn't bother me at all. If he's Ukrainian, I don't know. If he was Jewish, we'd be saying this is a Zionist attack. If he was Arabic, we'd say that this is the Muslims trying to come in here and impose Sharia law. So it doesn't matter. Whatever he is, people are going to complain. Okay? What's the rest? I got to read this comment.
Yeah, I got two more questions.
I can't find the comment. Okay, here it is. Hazardous chemicals on board. Well, that's what the harbor is designed to do. That's predominantly what it does. Is it takes care of hazmat and highly flammable and hazardous material. That's its job. They move liquid nitrogen through there. They move acetylene through there. They move corrosive acids through there. Most of that stuff can't even make it through the tunnel. That's why the bridge was created. So this is nothing surprising. Doesn't take a brain scientist. Surgeon? Brain surgeon? Rocket surgeon? Rocket scientist? Whatever. To figure that out. Tugboats were to lead it through this... No, they weren't. No, the tugboats were not there to lead it through the passage, and I'm going to show you why that's wrong. They are to take it into the channel, and that's what tugboats have been doing for 2 decades. Tugboats and personnel have lowered. Computers are now used over the top. The tugboats guiding them out to sea rarely happens anymore, unless visibility is low or for other reasons. But no, absolutely not. The tugboats and the harbor master did their job impeccably, and I'm going to show you why that is absolutely not true. That's the law in America. No, it's not. No, it's a law to get them out of the harbor and into the channel, into the inlet. It is not their job to take them out to sea. That is a complete, that's bullocks, okay? Someone comment on a text that it wasn't the law in Baltimore. I'm pretty sure that's in America and it's a law. It's a law to get out of the harbor. We're not listening to what I'm saying. Well, you wrote this, and this is a posthumous conversation. This was not a coincidence. Time is getting close for an attack. Tracy, I don't know what to tell you. If you believe that this was an attack, there is nothing at this point I can say to change your mind. And I don't want to. This is your opinion. You're entitled to it. That's fine. But I am giving you empirical evidence and data explaining to you that this was a complete accident based upon the information we have right now. And if it changes, I'll be the first to tell you. Liv, go ahead.
I can understand, commenting on that, I can understand why people would think it's a terrorist attack, especially with what happened in Russia. At work, that's what everyone was saying. Oh my gosh, is it this? Is it a terrorist attack? And my response to that was, no, it's not. Why? Because if it's a terrorist attack, they're not going to do it at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
They're going to do it at morning rush hour or evening rush hour,
Yeah.
where that bridge is going to be full and hundreds of people are going to die.
Yeah.
Not just however a few cars were on the bridge. So
Yeah, there were no explosions. I just went through the entire video. Rewind.
They might be late.
No. This was just posted. There were no explosions. Hold on. There were no explosions. I've already done this. Just watch the video over. I broke it down for you. It is not explosions. It is electrical, and it is shearing. Metal on metal, literally grinding itself just like an axle grinder when you're out there hitting the floorboard of your car, or you're taking down a nut that's seized, or you're going to go ahead and hit some piece of metal on the back of your F-150 truck. Okay? There were no explosions. Okay? None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Do you know if all the victims have been accounted for?
At
If
this
they've
point,
all been found, and how many are there? I don't even know.
I don't have the answer to that question. What I do know is they called off the search and they were presumed dead. I know they recovered. The last I heard, at least 2 of the bodies. I know, if I'm not mistaken, 4 walked away. As far as the rest of the details, I do not have all the details. I really don't. I'll be honest with you, even though I care about that and I have donated, I have not really dove into that, and I should. I feel horribly embarrassed that I don't have the answer to that question. Olivia's going to look it up for us, and we'll find out for you right now.
Also, does this boat have insurance? Is this boat
Yes.
going to pay for the bridge?
They're
or who's
already
going to pay for the bridge? The taxpayers?
So initially, you're going to have to understand the taxpayers are going to pay for this. And the reason why is they can't hold up and wait for insurance checks. But this is going to be like a $5 billion claim. This is going to be one of the largest single insurance claims ever in the history of insurance claims. This is going to be massive. So they are going to go through insurance for it. There is going to be a claim. We're probably going to have to pay for it first and then go ahead and get reimbursed. But it's the government. You're not going to see any of that money. You're not going to get a check back. You know how this works. The question is this essential to the United States? Its security, its overall infrastructure and supply chain? The answer would be yes. And I have a feeling that the federal government will assist in the reconstruction of this. They will go as fast as humanly possible, which means not at all. And money will be wasted, and it will wind up costing 5 times as much as it should because it's the U.S. government. I hope that answers your question. Was there another one?
No, that was it. I'm looking up the stuff right now.
Yeah, look up survivors. So I just want to make sure. Yeah, I heard that Joe said that he took the train. Okay, there is a train. But it has nothing to do with this bridge. I'm not going to defend Joe Biden. I don't care about Joe Biden. It has nothing to do with this conversation. He's an idiot. We know this. There's no defense of him, and I'm certainly not going to do it. Yeah. Blind ass clown talking. Yeah, you know what's hilarious? Laverne, what a fucking name. Is you have no argument. You notice that? All you can do is insult. So I'm better looking than you. I guarantee it. I've got a hotter wife than you. I've got a better show than you don't have. So whatever, dude. Suck my dick. Then that's basically my response to you. Okay, let's get to it.
I didn't even hear the question right there, the comment that I'm looking this up.
Laverne says, your chest is sexy and I want to rub oil all over it. I told him no.
And Shirley? Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne and Shirley, right. Yeah, we call he's squiggy. Let's be honest, okay? Let's watch the video, and this will help. Liv, are you there yet?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. How much longer? How about we do this? How about we watch this, because this is more important with 500 people on. Okay,
yes.
Great. And it's not more important than people who died. Please don't get all sensitive. Yes, we care about that, and I will get that information for you as soon as we watch this. This video was done with a lot of care, and I am not going to take credit for it. But I am going to ask you to listen and listen to what I've been saying for 2 days about this whole process, from the tugs, from the positioning of the vessel, from when it's in the inlet, when it's in the channel, how it's moving, all of these things. Please listen to this very carefully and compare to what I've been saying. And then you can tell me how I don't have my eyes open. This, by the way, if you want to know, is a Facebook site which specifically does civil engineering. They do nautic and geographic analysis based on ship movements, planes, engines, how everything works and how it's all put together. They are an exceptional site. I'll get you the link. Watch this.
7 in the morning of the 26th of March 2024, the Singaporean-flagged container vessel Dali collided with the Key Bridge, which carries Route 695 across the 2.5-kilometre span of the Patapsco River in Baltimore, Maryland. The impact caused a chain reaction leading to the bridge's complete collapse.
So you can go to casualnavigation.com. Fantastic site. I want to thank the viewer who I don't know who sent this to me. And all he did was just like, here you go, bro. Look at this. From the experts. And what I love is he watched my video. He didn't say, hey, great job, dude, or you're awesome. He just said, hey, if you don't believe him, here's from the expert's mouth. And bro, I can't tell you how much it means to me for you to do that. If you're in chat right now, let us know. Reach out to Olivia and I. We would like to get you something nice because this really does help put all the pieces together.
Within seconds. So
and I want to thank casualnavigation.com for allowing us to distribute this video. This is an open source. We're using this unaltered in its original content, and we are giving them credit. And I will put their link in the comments to make sure it's for fair use. Here it is.
Happened? How could a ship so easily collapse a bridge that stood in place for almost 50 years? Throughout the evening of the 25th of March 2024, the container vessel Dali was alongside her berth at the southern end of the Seagrip Marine Terminal, which is a massive facility in Baltimore capable of accommodating some of the world's biggest ships. The Dali, for example, is around 300 meters long, with a gross tonnage.
It is just shy of the Eiffel Tower.
Ooh.
Just shy. I think it's like 80 to 100 feet shy of the Eiffel Tower, something like that. Ridiculous.
Of just under 100,000 tons. Late in the evening, she completed the final checks for departure and was ready to get underway for her next passage towards Colombo, Sri Lanka. It was a lovely evening with light winds from an east by north direction and minimal tide.
Yeah, who told you that, huh? I wish I had a classic sausage.
Flow as it was approaching low tide. Shortly after midnight, now on the 26th of March, she made fast 2 tugs, one forward and one aft, and with their assistance came bodily to port off the berth. Once she had opened to a ship's width or so from the quay, she came ahead on her engines to get some water flow over the rudder.
All right, there's your tugs. Now remember I told you they would be on this side, and they would go ahead and have ropes attached onto the cleat of a ship, and they would slowly pull her out because ships don't do what? They don't move sideways, okay? Here we are.
And prepare for the turn to port towards the main channel. As the speed picked up to 3 or 4 knots or so, the 2 tugs lay alongside her on the port side and just ran with her as she completed her turn. By 1:10, the turn was complete and Dali entered the main channel, at which point the tugs were stood down so that she could continue to pick up speed. When you're working with tugs, you need to ensure you keep your speed down low because tugs are at massive risk of capsizing if you go too fast. Check out my video about tugging tugs if you want to know a little more about that. Anyway, with the tugs stood down, Dali continued following the channel outbound, lining up for the main span under the Key Bridge, which is the only place large enough for these sort of massive vessels to fit under. She continued to increase speed, reaching around 8.7 knots by 1:26, just before the bridge. But then something went wrong. She started turning to starboard, just around the same point where the Curtis Bay Channel joins the main channel. But why? Were there some interactive effects maybe? For example, if your starboard bow is no longer subject to pressure from a bank, it could cause a turn to starboard. If that did happen though, the ship's bridge is full of professionals who are more than capable of correcting it with some engine and rudder movements, so was there something else stopping them? If, for example, the ship suffered some sort of power failure at that point.
All right, now listen very carefully what we talked about with that slipstream, that the closer you get to the channel wall, the faster the waters are going to move based upon the depth. So this ultimately is where they got that pull, which would pull the front of the ship, the forecastle, the front portion of the ship, the bow, and move it and pull it towards that wall. This is what I predicted took place, and he gives the same, he confirms that. based upon his analysis.
You would expect it to veer off under the effects of interaction at exactly the position where the underwater profile of the channel changes, like where another channel joins from the side. Either way, regardless of a reason for leaving the channel, at that point the crew knew there was a serious problem. The tugs that had been stood down from the early...
Now, also, what's important here is when you look, is if you look at the line, remember I told you she was dead tap center, and she was coming in the correct way. You don't want to go ahead and come against this channel because see the narrowing here? So you come at a slight angle, just a slight angle, because this isn't right here where the support columns are. The support columns are here and here outside of the channel. So you want to stay in this lane right here.
She started turning to starboard, just around the same point where the Curtis Bay channel joins the main channel.
And that's where things go awry, right? So this, you're looking at like 132-minute mark right here. So this is when things started to get haywire. But her original course was still exactly where she should be based upon where this channel would take her and these narrowing here of this pass under the bridge. You see how she's slightly over? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, slightly over starboard. Okay.
Sort of massive 126 just before the bridge. But then something went wrong. She started turning to starboard just around the same point where the Curtis Bay channel joins the main channel. But why? Were there some interactive effects maybe? For example, if your starboard bow is no longer subject to pressure from a bank, it could cause a turn to starboard. If that did happen though, the ship's bridge is full of professionals who are more than...
Does everyone understand what that means right there?
Turn to...
Explain it.
It could...
All right. So when you have the pressure, and that's what I was talking about, the flow of that water coming in, it is going to keep that ship essentially in the center of the channel. And that ship is going to want to do a couple of things. It's going to want to stay straight. It's going to choose the path of least resistance, unless there is this interaction that he's talking about, some interaction that took place, whether it was a force or a change in the water or ultimately wind or other type of things that can alter the course of the vessel. And once that this wall that was on the starboard side disappeared and this channel feeds into it, the resistance is no longer there for the ship to maintain its straight course. Therefore, it would start to veer starboard. And when it veers starboard, now it is turning. Does everyone understand? Because that wall is not here, the ship on a straight line has no resistance, and its natural course is to want to go into this pocket where this inlet is changing. This channel flowing into this main channel is creating a push or a pull feature for it to possibly turn. That is one possibility. Does that make sense, Liv?
Yes.
Okay.
Cause a turn to starboard. If that did happen though, the ship's bridge is full of professionals who are more than capable of correcting it with some engine and rudder movements.
Unless...
So, was there something else stopping them? If, for example, the ship suffered some sort of power failure at that point.
Do you understand? So they experienced an event that took place. This is probably where you're going to see some fault here. You're probably going to have this in the investigation, but it's going to be able to say there was an opportunity, but to have the power failure right at this time when a course correction was needed explains why they turned into it and didn't veer away. This slippage, this interference, this impact that we're talking about, however you want to go ahead and this interaction you want to talk about, has turned the ship from that straight approach and that heading and slightly had it start going starboard and drifting. That was the drift I was talking about last night. A course correction was about to be made, and then the event of power loss at the perfect storm.
You would expect it to veer off under the effects of interaction at exactly the position where the underwater profile of the channel changes, like where another channel joins from the side. Either way, regardless of a reason for leaving the channel, at that point the crew knew there was a serious problem. The tugs that had been stood down from the early...
Now, the tugs that have been stood down were called on emergency action, and they full steam, full pushed ahead to try to go and retrieve and get it back on course. People are, where are the tugs? Where are the tugs? The tugs are all the way back in the frickin' harbor, y'all, getting ready to move the next vessel. So they are not there to guide it through that bridge. In no way, shape, or form. They put it in the inlet, they put it in the channel, and she goes. And it's like Pirates of the Caribbean, man. They throw you in there, and woo, you're gone. They throw you in there, woo, you're gone. Nobody walks you down and goes, "Are you okay?" And then the guy's like, ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. And then there's some guy, "Are you guys doing okay?" Yeah, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? Just leave. Nobody walks you down all the way to the bridge. It is literally help you move your horizontal slide where you have to move from east to west, get you in the channel, you do your loop, and then they just let you go. They let you free like a little bird. But once they recognize something was wrong and there was a power failure, Mayday comes through, these tugs get the hell out there and they're going to go do whatever they could. I'm letting you know those tugs would have done nothing. Those tugs probably would have been destroyed. The moment that they touched that vessel, the moment that they tried to intercept it, the moment that they tried to slow it down, those tugs are going to have a very serious problem. Now, what they probably would have tried to do is get in front of it, get on the starboard side and bump it and push it and try to do that. At very best, it would have been extremely dangerous. They probably would have been killed. This is not, this is a hypothetical. It doesn't matter. They couldn't get to him anyway. That shows you how far away they were. Remember I told you how far outside the harbor they were? Everyone's like, where are the tugs? Why aren't they guiding them? Because they don't have to. They're not supposed to. Watch.
Maneuver sprang back to life and started heading.
Yes, absolutely. The anchor absolutely 100% assisted in that overall turn process. They tried to drop both anchors. It's my understanding, Mel's going to call in and talk to us in a little bit, that there was a failure on the port side anchor.
I have a question
Yes.
based on what we're watching right now.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the water from the other channel not push it to the left? Why push it to the right?
It depends on how much through fare is coming through that channel, right? So that's the point. It obviously, I think we would have, once again, this is a hypothetical this guy's giving you, but the amount of flow, it's my understanding that the river was moving extremely fast, right? So very, very fast. And that's why we got the speeds that we got when it wasn't under power, is that the overall amount of water flow coming in from that channel wasn't as fast as the overall current of where they were in the first channel. And that way, that force wasn't pushing, and that would create that urge for the boat to move over. That's my understanding. Those inlets, they have flow capacity, they have overflow capacity, they all feed into a certain area, they all have dampeners to slow the flow of the water, to increase the flow of the water. I can't answer that question. That's going to be in the investigation, but that's my gut, right? If that theory holds true, what he said, and that's what put it off course and created that divergence, it would make sense to me that the flow of that inlet was not as powerful as the main flow of them going down. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
Back towards the Dali at full speed, but unfortunately it was just too late. She was now so close to the bridge and carrying so much momentum that there was nothing anyone could do. At 1:29 local time on the 26th of March, she struck the southern tower, which just didn't stand a chance against more than 100,000 tons of vessel and cargo travelling at 7.5 knots. The collapse of the southern tower led to the collapse of spans on both sides of the river, which in turn led to the collapse of further spans as the chain reaction travelled along the bridge. 15 minutes later, at 1:43, the first tug arrived on scene, but by then the damage was already done. From that point on, the priority was search and recovery. Now, clearly, I'm releasing this video within hours of the event, so we don't yet know how the story will end. We also don't have all the facts yet, so everything I've been through is just my interpretation of what I've seen based on the information that's been released to the public. The cause of the turn to starboard is unknown, but interaction effects could be the reason behind it if there was no way for the crew to counter them. A blackout could be a reason for the crew being unable to counter the turn, and it would explain why the tugs responded before the ship hit the bridge. That could also explain the plume of black smoke you can see in news.
Now, he is not working under the perception that emergency call, just like my video, right? So my video did not have that the anchor was dropped. His video doesn't know that they echoed Mayday. So he didn't know why they responded. So he just made a guess. Maybe that's why. Well, the reason why those tugs is because the captain and the ship called Mayday. And that is why they went up ahead and went after it. We also know the power loss. He didn't have the original full videos. So what's great is this guy got ahead of it like I did and didn't have all the facts and stated, I don't have all the facts. And here's what I know. Here's what I don't know. Doesn't that sound familiar? I guarantee you this guy, he is Royal Navy intelligence. I'm telling you right now, I don't know the guy. I don't know him at all. I don't know anything about him, but he screams intel. Just the way he talks, just the way he analyzes, the way he lays it out, very reminiscent of working with the Brits and their intelligence apparatuses.
Pause. And the lack of exhaust smoke coming from the ship at the moment of impact. As I say though, at this point in time,
James makes a great point. It is the force of the flow caused by the ship hull displacement against the channel walls being lost. Right. Almost like slippage, right? So you have a resistance and you have a stabilized resistance that's happening, and then all of a sudden you hit an ice patch and you're going to have slippage. Very similar to that is when you change the overall fluid dynamics of that vessel and you introduce something new, that interaction that he's talking about, the ship will respond to it. The best way that I can explain it is that if you're going down a river and it's flat, right? And then you get into white water, well, what happens to your vessel? Your vessel reacts by starting to do this. Well, the same thing happens in the undercurrent too, which can make the vessel do this. This is where you get pitch and yaw, and you will roll during waves. So in interactions with the environment, the vessel will work differently. The worst interactions it could possibly have is when it doesn't have any power. That is when you are at the mercy of the sea. And trust me when I say this, it is terrifying. It is terrifying to be dead stick with no propulsion in an environment like that. So even in a calm, beautiful night with 3-mile-an-hour winds on a glossy, glassy, fast-moving river, with not a cloud or fog in the sky, I guarantee you that feeling of dread when they lose power is like a fire on a ship. There's nothing like it. It is the most terrifying feeling possible. Okay? I've taken water on board vessels, and it's not as terrifying as a ship fire or losing power. Okay? So there it is. Let's watch the rest.
Mel says he's a former Royal Navy captain.
I told you.
Also, I got a question.
Yeah.
Well, it's not me. Where's the anchor drop from? Is it the bow or the stern?
It's from.
I don't know. That's the question, but I don't know what's what on a ship.
It's aft.
Which is the back of the ship?
Yes.
Okay.
My understanding is there was a port side anchor and a starboard side anchor after the ship. Mel's going to call in right after this video and we're going to talk.
Don't know, so I encourage you all to keep an eye out for the official report when it comes, so that we can all learn from what happened and attempt to prevent the same sort of thing happening again in the future.
Casualnavigation.com, Gavin, Luke, Dragon Tamer, these guys who all did all the sound. Gotta love it. I knew he was Royal Navy. He could just tell he's Royal Navy.
So what's starboard and whatever?
Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Let's not do that right now. Let's focus on getting Mel on the phone, and then we can talk about everything. Let me look. Are people confused? Is that why?
No, I'm curious of what starboard and the other one are.
Here, I'm gonna get a graphic for you so you can see.
And she's calling Dale.
Okay. I'm gonna get a graphic for you so you can see, so I can point it all out. Okay. So here you go. Mel, wait 1 second. Take the hat off.
Sorry.
Hold on, Mel.
Oh, wrong one.
Okay. All right. So, holy Lord, woman.
Apparently they go off by themselves, and if I hit them, they come back on.
No, you got to turn.
Apparently.
You got to.
I did, and they all came on.
Okay. Okay. All right. So take a look. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. So you have the fore or the forward of the ship or the bow.
Okay.
Okay. This is where the forecastle is, right? So there's several names for a ship. It's very confusing for everybody. Starboard is here, and port is here.
So starboard's the right, port is left.
Left side is port, right side is starboard.
Okay.
Aft or stern is here.
Got it. Makes sense. Thank you.
Then you also know that there's other parts. There's vertical parts of the ship, right? Wherever there's steerage, that's the bridge. You've also got here, which crow's nest could be up here. There's also Monkey Island is also up here, which is a high vantage point of the ship, the highest vantage point of the ship. Like I already said, crow's nest. What am I missing? That's enough. Mel, what am I missing?
Well, the anchors are located in the bow and the forecastle. They're not.
Oh, they weren't aft?
They're not aft.
Wait
Never.
a second. Then why was the report that they were aft?
No, at the pointy end of the ship. On
No.
the starboard side and the port-
Mel, I'm not going to handle Mel, this is what I was talking. I'm not going to handle. Don't treat me like I'm an idiot. Mel, don't treat. No, Mel, don't treat me like I'm an idiot.
I'm not.
You are.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so let me say it again. The first initial reports is that there were starboard side and port side anchors on this vessel side. What you're saying is that they are in the nose of the ship, and they were released. Yep. Okay, great. So go ahead and say what you were going to say.
No, and that's what I was just going to say. They're located in the nose of the ship. I'm just reading some of these weird.
So you've never seen any vessel. You've never seen any vessel with side anchor or aft anchors ever.
Never, ever, ever, ever.
So when you're looking at frigates, when you're looking at cruisers, when you're looking at even LCCs or aircraft carriers, it's always in the front of the ship.
Always in the front of the ship.
Then why were the initial reports that they said that there were aft anchor point? Do you think that was just a mistake on the original reports? Because that's where the confusion was, because you and I said they failed, but we didn't see them in the initial video drop. Did you?
Exactly. No. And until I saw the NTSB video today that was in the daylight.
Was that in the Google one?
I was looking for the anchors specifically because the starboard anchor was obviously damaged or ripped off, like whatever. It's not there anymore. And if I look to the port side, if the port anchor was still engaged, you would still see cable going aft somewhere, but there's no cable going aft. So my assumption is it got ripped off during its high speed, and 8 knots is not high speed realistic, but for ships,
the weight is.
It's huge because it's weight.
Yeah. The weight differential is massive. So Mel, hold on. And so let me ask this. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be snippy with you, but you tend to do that. You get real fucking Canadian on me.
I know.
No, you just get Canadian on me. You get all freaking pomp and circumstance. So yes, you do. Once in a while, you freaking bloody American. But my point is that I have no idea with these cargo vessels where they have anchors based upon the length, the size, what they do in inclement weather, because I want to challenge that at least a little bit, that there are not aft anchors on vessels, because explain to me. Go ahead.
I posted the video and
I'm not worried about the video. Mel, listen to me. Mel, listen to what I'm asking you. I'm not saying every vessel in the United States Navy. Of course, every single anchor is at the front of the ship that I've ever seen or been on. In the Royal Canadian Navy, in the English Navy, and the HMS, I get that. What I'm saying is, are there any vessels ever that have aft anchor for storm purposes as secondary ever? Why not?
No, because they do. It's just not feasible. It just doesn't work. Like, obviously, over the 9,000 years that the ship's been at sea, anchors have always gone from the pointy end of the ship, and it's been inherent. And I put a video up on Mud's chat from
let me find it.
A group, and it's about a container ship anchoring policy, the whole 9 yards, what they do, whatever. And they're showing you on the container ships what they do. So it was.
How far was that, Mel? Mel, how far back was that, kiddo?
I just did it like about an hour or so ago.
Okay, I'm looking for it. Keep talking. I'm looking.
So I put it on there. It's a little long. It's done by a crew from the Indian Navy, and they're awesome sailors. Whatever.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. They went through the whole 9 yards of anchoring for cargo ships. So I specifically had tagged that one because since this morning, that's like you do, I go and I do some more looking for whatever. So I found, and it's very educational, very tutorial. It's long. and you have to deal with the Indian dialect or like the whatever. But anyways, no.
That's about as me.
intended,
That's about as me doing the Canadian. Oh, blogger. Mel, did you send
So
this to me by
anyways-
email? I can't find it,
It's
kid.
not, no, is it on just the
So I
live?
said-
Is it on Mud
It's
Chat
on
only?
Mud.
Got
It's
it.
on Mud's chat. I
Liv,
was
can you
going to
get-
send
can
it
you
to
get the
your
link?
email, but I didn't want to inundate you. But I wanted to send it to the Muds so that to give them a bit of an
Okay.
Is
education.
it how
'cause it's
Ship
really
Anchor
bit-
works?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So send that to me.
Yeah.
Text.
Got it.
So Mel,
And
so here's
that's
okay.
part
So
of-
real quick, the initial reports that everything came out, even from the NTSB, is when they were talking about the anchor, is they said it was on the aft. Now, is it possible, like you said, that it ran over its own anchor after it dropped?
Oh, totally.
Okay, so it ran over its own anchor. That's listen. The weirdest thing in the world happens when you're doing this. You get so much information that you don't know, but the location of the anchor, it ran over its own anchor. It must have. So was it port side or starboard side? Because if it was starboard side, that would
port side.
explain.
Nope.
So it was port
No,
side.
the port anchor was the one that was let go, and
Starboard
the thing-
malfunctioned.
and because the starboard anchor, when you look at the picture in the daylight, the starboard anchor is in that compartment underneath all that mangled bridge, whatever, and that whole starboard anchor compartment is the one that's ripped open.
Where is it?
So
I had to
that's
message
where
it to
I'm
you.
thinking the hazmat was coming from, was from there. So that was another point I was going to kind of throw out there was
Oh, okay.
there's so
slow-
much hydraulic oil for anchors. It's just, yeah.
Oh, well,
But-
of course. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's gonna be a freaking nightmare. But okay, just to make sure I understand and I'm hearing this correctly.
Yeah.
It was port side. It was starboard side anchor that dropped, which would also assist, obviously, if it drops on the starboard side, and it starts to drag. It's going to pull that ship and the nose of that ship to the right side. So in that video I just showed, it's very possible that the reason why we saw him veer is because of anchor drop? Or do you still believe that it was literally that inlet and that channel wall which no longer stopped that vessel that wasn't under power from moving over starboard side? What's your gut
Okay.
say?
From my original yesterday, it wasn't the starboard anchor that got dropped. It was the port anchor. Let me think. No, right.
No.
No, it was the port anchor, because when I watched your videos and whatever, the ship is coming out and it's going to make a right hand turn. So automatically it would have been the port anchor that would have been dropped. When that happens and they lose power, that anchor is just going to continue to run. And if you see that video that I put up on the Muds chat, it's going to tell you about how many fathoms and blah, 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 and give you some perspective. So I don't want to go into the details, whatever, but this thing is running.
Okay, Mel, I don't understand.
The ship is going to turn on itself, and it's going to run over its own cable.
That I completely understand. Okay?
Yeah.
But to make sure everyone gets what we're saying can you see the video or see the picture?
Yes, we can see the picture.
Not you.
Oh.
Mel.
No, I can't, because I don't have.
Okay.
I'm
So we're just going to talk in idiot civilian terms. You're saying the left
Please.
side of the left side anchor dropped.
Yes.
Then why would we have that veer right and not some sort of course
Because
correction?
The ship is coming out of a protected space. So if you look at the land, it's fairly protected. And it's now coming out into open water. So now you've got the sea forces that are playing with this thing. Plus, it's coming. High tide is just finishing. So the last of that massive rush. So you've got two forces of water in two different directions at this ship that's coming out nose first. So, and only like half of, by the time it's out, it's now full in the channel and it loses power. So
do you think
now
it's, you
at the
think it's,
wind-
do you think it's coming that, okay. So do you believe that that channel could have been pushing on the starboard side of that vessel, and the flow could have been, because there was a lot, hold on, there was a lot of rain flow, which could have pushed this thing to port. And the last correction that they made was to starboard, and then power drops. And if that's the case, hold on, Mel. If that's the case, then that explains why when they lost power, they continued to head starboard, because it was an overcorrection. Remember what the guy said in the video is that interaction. If that interaction was that channel flow pushing the and then there was a correction made, could have that been the time that they lost power, and that is why they continued to drift starboard.
Exactly. Because as soon as they lose power, whatever course, because it's only a single prop ship,
right?
When they lose power, the power to that here I am now stumbling with my language, whatever. But
listen, you have been working just hold on. Time out. You have been doing just as much as this as I have. So mistakes are going to be made. We're tired. Okay, it's completely normal. So take your time. Please don't get frustrated. Don't get your blood pressure up. I want you calm and cool and collected. You hear me?
Okay. So when they lose power, automatically whatever the last position the prop and the shaft is in is locked.
Yes.
So they're trying to do a swing to starboard so they can come out into the middle of the channel to go between the markers. So the prop and it's locked. So that steerage on its own,
a swing to starboard or a swing to port, because they were. Oh no, they would. You're right. So they would move and move to starboard in order to go ahead and stay against that channel, and then go right inside because of the narrowing. Okay, go.
And they had to go start whatever to come through the middle of the channel underneath the bridge in between the markers. So when they lost power, by looking in that dark picture, whatever, when it started, they were coming out. He was coming out. He was making his correction to start, like he's doing his starboard swing to come around, like you do in your car. You're going to make that big right-hand turn to come straight underneath the bridge, because the channel markers are there, and you have to stay between there because of the draft of the ship. So he knows where he has to go. But when the power failure happened, his rudder was already stuck at whatever setting, like he will put on like starboard 15 or starboard whatever. Those are terms that you use in naval whatever for the guys that's driving the boat. So those are angles and whatever, that degrees that the captain wants the ship to turn at a certain time, at certain whatever. So he's going to give him starboard 10, starboard whatever, but it's because it's the degree of arc. So he has to do an arc to come around so he can get into the deep channel to come through underneath the bridge.
Okay.
So when the power failure happened, he was locked. He couldn't. There's no way.
I know, but Mel, what hard right turn are you talking about? I don't see that here. Is when he comes around out of the when he comes around out of the harbor and gets put into the channel on the intake and the inlet, and then that is the hard right turn he had to take. That's almost a mile away from the bridge.
But that's where he lost steering. But he was already starting his turn. Like, you have to, these things are so large, you have to start the turn ahead of the time of when the turn is actually going to happen. So he's doing little maneuvers to get to where he needs
I understand.
to go.
I understand course correction, Mel. What you keep saying, hard right turn. I don't know what hard right turn you're talking about. There's going to be a hard right turn at the end of the bridge, which is why he comes in at that angle, right? It's why he's not dead tap center. I think we see that from the map, right? When you look at it, you can see that if he goes straight, he's going to run right into one of those the port side retaining wall, or the starboard side.
I know.
Or port side.
Okay.
So it's when you say it, it's not hard right turn.
No,
He is making.
No.
Okay.
He's making he's making like an arc. So if you
Okay.
do an
Yeah.
arc, whatever, and it's in slow time. Like it's not. I know he's doing 8 knots, which is what he should be probably doing for whatever to do that turn, but it's all slow maneuvers. Like it's just not. And the
Right.
captain's watching the depth of the water that he's in, where he has to go to move his ship into where he has to go to transit underneath the bridge. So it's in small increments. But when the power failure happens, his rudder is already locked into a certain degree. So I'm not sure if he was maybe at starboard 5 or 10, because these are all degrees on his equipment that tells him where he needs to be at what time, because it's all like it's all there. It's all like whatever. It's not. I'm not going to say it's not rocket science for these captains, because this is what they do, and they've automated pretty well, whatever. But they all still have to be there, hands on, and the captain to take it out of a harp has to do it manually. So he's doing it step by step by step. So it might be a small degree, whatever. But if that rudder locks and it's only a single rudder, he's got no hope of turning the direction. So when crap happens and he gets his power failures, now he's got so many other things to do. He can't change the direction of his ship.
Right.
His casualty power is not coming on, and he has 2 backups, according to what I read today about his ship. He's got 4 DGs on there, diesel generators of 2 different capacities. And it looks like, because of what we saw, what you showed us on the video, whatever, about the lights coming on, whatever, both of those 2 sets of DGs, which are a different power level, both failed.
Yeah,
So
and that's what you and I had said about auxiliary and secondary. That's what you and I. This is where you let me talk, kid. This is where you let me chime in. Okay. Sorry. It's okay. Don't be sorry. Just I got to teach you the finer points of you and I sitting at a bar versus being on a show, right? So I got to be like, Mel, hold on. So when we see this thing lose its power multiple times, when we had talked about primary and then auxiliary power, is those second 2 engines. If he wasn't running 4 banger, right? So he was probably running 2 engines at that time.
Yep.
So you broke up on me. So my question is, Mel, if you can still hear me, is if he's running two engines at that time, that would explain that he's got a cold engine, which is why we see the plume of smoke when the 2 other engines are fired. Is that what your gut tells you? Is he was running 2 banger at that time? Then when those failed, he tried to roll over the cold engines, and that's why we see that huge plume of smoke?
No, that huge plume of smoke could be probably one of 2 things.
Reverse
to
gear,
me, he
recycle
was doing
engine.
what we do in emergency, whatever, is emergency full speed.
Full speed reverse, right? Mm-hmm.
And as soon as that happens, that black smoke is going to come out.
Okay, and what would be the second reason? Because that was my first, that's what we said at first.
And the second would be he tried to whatever, and all of his engines just slipped and went up. Do you
think he was running all 4 engines?
No, because they don't do that, because they have. That's not how it rolls.
Well, that was my question, Mel.
Or
right.
DGs. So
Mel, this is why. Okay, hold on, Mel. This is why I was at. Mel, let me ask the question again. So that's why I was asking you. Do you feel that he was running on 2 primary engines? The 2 secondary engines were not running when the 2 failed. The front failed, and he could not get those restarted, and he couldn't get those to fire. We would assume. Do you believe that he fired the secondary engines, or do you think they just dealt with primary the entire time and didn't? Because this doesn't have redundancy, does it? This vessel, because that's what the NTSB said, and that's what the maker of the vessel said, is that it didn't have double redundancy. Does it?
Well, I'm now gonna, because I don't know about the container ship, whatever, but I know on the Navy boats, as soon as main power goes, it goes to secondary, which
Right.
would be his DG backup. So
Right.
his next set would fire up automatically. And I find it really odd that these container ships don't have an automatic fail safe, whatever, because it happens so fast. Like with the lighting, that means the DGs were kicking in. So that means they had the fail safe. It was starting up. And then when the second set filled, because they have two sets, they have a primary and a secondary backup on that ship. So I'm like, so the other one tried to start up and it failed too. So it's just
That's what I was asking, is where the black smoke, because that's indicative, yes, of full reverse, but it's also indicative of a cold engine.
Exactly. And
well, that's okay.
True.
So am I right about that or wrong about that? Because that's what it looks like.
No, you're totally right about that.
Okay,
good.
Good. So let's make sure we understand. So if we go back through it all again, just quickly to make sure we get everything right, because when I trim the video, I want to make sure we get the right side here. According to what we understand, is port side anchor was dropped. Is that correct?
Yes.
Vessel before that was moving along the channel wall from another inlet, created more than likely a push that required correction, push to port, which threw that off of its overall bearing to hit center of bridge, then decided to course correct to starboard. And then when propulsion, aka power steerage, was lost, vessel was in a frozen starboard direction from previous correction and unable to adjust, which put it on a collision course with the bridge and not necessarily the center marker. At that point, secondary power, DGEs, kick in, cold, more than likely, and possibly does a full reverse, and whatever the system that caused the initial engines to seized on the secondary engines and ultimately continued on its turn into the pylon. Is that correct? Is that what you're thinking?
That's my take on it. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds pretty damn close to what we said the other night, minus that I have all my years in the Navy. There's two things I didn't know. Obviously, I forgot port and starboard last night because I was tired. Second thing is I've seen aft anchors on smaller vessels. I know not military vessels, but smaller recreational vessels. I've seen a smaller aft anchor. I looked it up. They do sell them, but you don't recommend using an aft anchor due to the fact because of prop wash, and it's right near your prop, I would assume. I mean, the last thing you want to do is have that fucking thing eat up your prop and then you're dead in the water. Is that ultimately why you wouldn't want an aft anchor?
100%. You don't want anything because those props cavitate at such a height, whatever, it's going to suck it right in there and you're going to have zero anything. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why basically there's been no commercial or military, whatever, that have rear anchors, just for that simple fact is that engine, those, because some are double prop ships, some are single prop like this container ship was. You don't want anything near that prop because it'll suck it in like that fast.
So let me ask you this question. So it ran over its anchor when it dropped port side, right?
Well, I would say it went underneath the ship.
Not ran over. Yeah, let me use the right terminology. Is that she drove it went under vessel and she drove over it, which makes a lot of sense.
Because if they dropped the anchor and they didn't have any power, that thing is just going to free rein. And I sent, I think, another video to you about anchor free falling, whatever. And it's like astronomical speed and you can't stop it. And it's going to just, But to me,
Well, yeah,
it
listen, I've seen
they
aircraft
drop-
carrier tank. I've seen
if they
aircraft
let
carrier
go,
drop anchor,
Yeah.
and it's the most
If they let-
terrifying fucking thing in the world.
It is. If they let it go, and it's going to run at like 9 gazillion hours an hour, and it's going to go down, whatever. And because of the ship's speed, the current, the ship is going. It's going to go under, like it's going to go underneath, and then eventually, because of it's going to eventually rip off because of the speed.
Okay.
And
All right, let me interrupt you, Mel.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt you. I just got some breaking news.
Okay.
This is interesting. So, thank you. First of all, I love when you call. First of all, I love the ridicule. It's always nice to be ridiculed as a stupid American. And then the second thing is just, you know, the shit that you know, and you know it very well. Here is what I just got, and I need to find out something. Okay, I cannot tell you where this is from. So the latest on, and that's everybody. So latest on the bridge collapse. And this is from, I can tell you at least where it's from. I can't tell you where I got it from. This is actually a release from the NTSB. And this just released a few seconds ago. So I have, I'm going to read it to you. Okay. The Dolly ship carried 764 tons of hazardous material in 56 containers. Many of these units were breached. Some are entirely in the water. They included explosive material, corrosives, flammable material, and lithium-ion batteries. They leaked into the Patapsco River, observant by a heavy sheen and gloss. NTSB chair called it a pretty dangerous situation because of secondary fires or possible ignition. A port harbor pilot and new apprentice were in command of the ship as it left the port. Initially, 21 crew members were aboard. There were no cameras, no CCTV in the ship's bridge control room. There was a VDR, which, if you don't know VDR, it's Voyage Data Recorder. For those that don't know, a black box, essentially. Right, Mel?
Yep.
But it only recorded basic parameters. The VDR recorded sensor data and NavDat. And here is the timeline. 12:39 a.m., the ship left its berth, briefly guided by tugboats. 1:24, the ship loses power for 1 minute. Smoke appears. 1:26, the ship loses power again. The backup generator kicked on, but the propulsion system remained offline. The pilot commanded the ship to be turned. The anchor is dropped. At 1:27, vehicles are still crossing the bridge. 1:29, 2 minutes later, the ship hits the bridge. The FDK bridge is a fracture critical bridge, meaning it has no redundancy. If one area fails, it all fails. It's like breakaway glass. 21-person crew of the Dolly are still on board and have complete power in the vessel. Scans from sonar reveal there are more vehicles submerged in the water from the collapse, still trapped and encased in concrete and debris. A red pickup truck was found submerged earlier with 2 deceased men in it. This is the first time they've concluded vehicles did fall from the bridge. They had previously declared the only casualties were the construction group of 8. They are now saying there are more. NTSB states their investigation will not be complete for a year or 2. A brief report may be available outside of something like this in 2 weeks. Here's 2 photographs that I can give you, which it looks like those are some sort of, I don't know, it looks like to be some sort of
Another ship or something?
No, it's not another ship. It's just a vantage point. Has lights and etc. on it, but you can see where the failure, some of that bridge still remains. And then I've got another one. This is actually in the vessel, which is showing from in the vessel. So my understanding, Mel, is what they're saying now is that the harbor pilot was still in the vessel. Does that make sense to you at all?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if that information is correct because the harbor pilot would leave on one of the tugs, would he not?
Exactly, and that's what they do. When the tugs come alongside with the pilot, we put down the ladder. The pilot climbs up the little skinny ladder and goes up to the bridge, and he stands with the captain. And at that point, when the pilot's on board, the captain stands by, and he directs his crew. What the pilot does the navigating and the whatever.
Yeah.
When it's time for the pilot, whatever, the pilot goes back down the ladder, gets back on his little tugboat, and goes back to his
everything I've ever experienced in any harbor situation. Harbor master / pilot and tugs move you out, get you in the channel, and let you go about your business, and then they go back on the tug and head back and get the next vessel. Is that not SOP?
That's SOP 1,000%.
Here's the NTSB with they're working with drones. There's no FBI. A lot of people are saying the FBI's there. FBI's not there. It's NTSB, FEMA. I don't even know if EMI is out there. I don't even know if FEMA's out there. I guarantee you Hazmat's out there now, but we haven't seen Hazmat. So here's some photos that I got. All NTSB guys and girls.
Jeez.
And you can see some of the damage. Just, Mel, I'm showing them some of the photographs that I got.
But the ones that I saw that NTSB did earlier on, none of the containers that had hazmat. There's only 56 of them, and hazmat containers on any whatever are put as close to the bridge and blocked in by everything else so that they can't escape.
Right.
So for them to say that all of this is in the harbor,
it's probably hydraulic fluid. It's probably hydraulic fluid. Yeah.
So exactly. So I'm going to call BS on this lithium, whatever is in the harbor. I didn't see that.
It doesn't seem right to me. Mel, it doesn't seem right to me either, sister. So my first reaction was, even if it had that hazmat material on there, you're absolutely right. There's usually double redundancy for that type of stuff as well. And even some of that hazmat, it's even in cargo hold. It's not even on the top deck. Or you're right, it is buried. And some of that stuff, that really hazardous stuff, is carried in other cargo compartments within the vessel. I think maybe the information that I got is mixed with a little bit of speculation because to me, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah. No, that what you just expounded, like just now, like made no sense from what I had seen from the earlier NTSB video drones, whatever, and showing the water and whatever. There's no containers in the water. Everything is intact still. Like there's not a container that went into the water. So all I can see is the damage from where the starboard anchor compartment and whatever is, and I know how much hydraulic
on board
oil
the vessel
and what is there. So I'm like,
all right. Well, listen, I got a video to show you and listen to. So take a listen. Could you hear that other video?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen to this.
2 pilots for a total of 23 individuals on board the vessel at the time of the accident. They also were able to obtain the...
Okay, so that's accurate with the information we just got. So this was just released at 8:14 p.m. Eastern. So this was just released too. God, I should have checked my email. I'm so sorry because I got the email at 7:30. I could have cracked this shit. Whatever. So the 23 on and then the 2 pilots is confirmed, Mel. So that would leave me to believe a couple things. Now, I'm going to give you my analysis and you give me yours. Now, your experience with civilian vessels is 10 times more than me. I mean, like I said, I didn't even know if there were aft anchors on these vessels. I've never been on one of these. I've Snoopy teamed these, right? Which basically means we send up some sort of intelligence and reconnaissance to identify a certain vessel which is in our waters, called Snoopy Team. I've seen plenty of them. I've been able to profile and study them, what they look like on the horizon, what they look like in satellite imagery. But as far as being on one, I maybe once or twice. So if at all, especially this size. So you know more about this than I do. But if the pilot was on the vessel, there had to be all the way past the first bridge, around the turn, into the channel. That means there had to be some sort of concern, because that's not SOP.
Hey, babe.
Yeah.
Melanie from YouTube is saying that if you want, she knows all about the whole, the pilot, blah, blah, blah. She knows about that.
Okay.
And she can call in if you want her to.
Yeah, Mel, hold on. Let's do this. Let's everyone wait 1 second. Let's watch this video. Then we're gonna have Mel come on. We've got like 600 people on. We can't leave. I mean, people are starving for this shit. So let's give it to them, right? And we're learning together. This is how you figure shit out. Is when you're wrong, you just go, okay, this isn't right. But you put it all together. You read the information, you disseminate it, and then you go ahead and make judgment. Let's listen to this. This is 3 minutes, and then Mel, I want you to call in.
Go manifest. Now, the cargo manifest, we did bring in one of NTSB's senior hazmat investigators today to begin to look at the cargo and the cargo manifest. He was able to identify.
Remember what I said, if you take a look at this damage, is a lot of that is container damage. Surprisingly enough, those ships are built like fucking trucks.
Where's that picture taken from?
That's taken from underneath. That is port side, front of ship. Probably taken at like I don't know, just a lower angle. It's the bottom of the ship. So somebody's in a skiff, or somebody's in a flat, some sort of raft or whatever, just taking photographs. Probably
they had drones up too.
Yeah, but this isn't a drone shot. It's too low for that. Yeah, I mean it could be, but there's really no point. This looks like somebody on a raft. Powered raft, and with a spotlight, because it looks like it was taken at night. So let's go ahead. This is from the fire rescue team, so that would make sure it was a raft. All right, here, let's listen to this.
Okay.
To identify 56 containers of hazardous materials. That's 764 tons of hazardous materials, mostly corrosives, flammables, and some miscellaneous hazardous materials, class 9 hazardous materials, which would include lithium-ion batteries.
Yikes. Okay, so everything I got from that report is right so far.
Some of the hazmat containers were breached. We have seen sheen on the waterway. The federal, state, and local authorities are aware of that, and they will be in charge of addressing those issues.
Okay, so FEMA and hazmat are definitely on the scene at this point. So that's confirmed. This is a FEMA director confirming this, Mel, just FYI. So I am looking at the initial impact, and it looks like it did take out probably 6 rows deep of containers by 4. So you're talking a 6x4 and a 10 stack. So holy shit. 240 containers, Mel? It crushed?
No.
Yes.
Sure. Well, that's what it looked like. But there's only, apparently, at the very fruit, whatever, there's only 56 containers that had hazmat on it.
But they had okay, stop.
Right.
That's not what I said. Listen to me. Listen to me again. I didn't say hazmat. I'm talking, if I'm looking at the photograph right now, and I'm just looking at what I'm seeing, there were more than 56 containers flattened, is what I'm saying.
Oh, hell. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the same page. Because, just doing quick math, I'm counting them, and I'm looking at they're 4 wide. No, they're 3 wide. They look like they're like 8 or 10 stack. And there's at least 4 or 5 rows gone. I mean, it's amazing how many fucking containers those things carry. You know what I mean? Anyway, all right, let's listen to the rest.
But the NTSB, as part of our safety investigation, documents that type of release, documents the damage, and documents the type of materials involved.
See, do you guys see what can you, this is crazy. So do you see why I say it's so many? Liv, can you see these containers falling over here?
It's very small in my vision.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
You don't want to see that.
Here, hold on. Let me do this. Thanks for whoever just subscribed. You're awesome, James. Here, let me take it. Watch this. So Mel, I'll send this to you later. I know you saw this, but I'm going to blow this up and I'm going to put this on screen. Watch this. Okay. You see where those 2 stacks are diverging?
Yeah.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stacks of containers. That is one single column. And if you look to the left side, see that red one right there? Then there's a white one behind it. That is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 2 is 14. So right there, you got 28 containers in that one single column. Now go back to this picture and look how much that bridge, how many containers that must have taken out. That, I don't even know if 56 is an accurate count. Maybe 56 with hazmat, Mel, but is it your thought that more containers than 56 were taken out?
Oh, no, there was a whole whack more than 56 taken out.
That's what I thought.
All I'm saying is 56 were protected, because what they do is, from what I know, is they put them, they put them as close into the structure of the containers, and then they surround it by things
by innocuous stuff, like exactly. Panda bears or Pokemon or Pikachu dolls. Exactly. I get it.
Refrigerators.
Right.
Cars.
All right. Let's watch the rest of this real quick.
As part of our investigation. We also have an engineering group which gathers evidence to document the design and operation of engineering systems, including the vessel propulsion.
This is a really good shot for those of you who have not been on this bridge. Olivia and I have been on it several times. You're almost going vertical. This bridge, you're 150 feet up. So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it dropped like 20 feet. No. This bridge is up. You're 150 feet standing flat on the bridge. From the top point, you're talking 100, almost 200 feet. So it is extremely high. So when it hits that water, I don't care about surface tension and breaking the surface tension. It's concrete. How any of those guys lived is shocking to me. Shocking.
After the video's over, I got some questions.
All right, so let's go ahead and watch the rest. But this will show you how high it is, y'all. It's no joke. It's tall. I mean, when you drive over it, you're like, oh shit.
It's very tall.
Systems, including the vessel propulsion, steering, and power. The operations and engineering group was able to board the vessel last night, and they did a walkthrough of the vessel, including the bridge and the engine room. They were looking for other electronic components, any sort of downloadable recorders, any sort of cameras, any sort of CCTV. They did not find any of those things, but that search continues. They've also requested a number of documents, including maintenance and inspection history, and are, as we speak, conducting interviews on board the vessel. Those interviews began at 1 p.m. this afternoon, and those are with the crew members on board the vessel. And then again, I mentioned we did board again today at 1 o'clock. That was pretty much the entire team, me, plus Office of Highway Safety, Office of Marine Safety, Member Brown, and looked at the damage. We were able to take a look at pier protection. We looked at some of the damage to the containers and certainly the bridge structure. Now we have a recorders group, which is responsible for locating, retrieving, and downloading any recorder or recorded information that may relate to the accident. We do have the voyage data recorder. They worked on that all day to validate that information. They also have a printout of the alarms. That's the log. They still have to go back and look at that and validate that information at a later time. In addition to that, our survival factors group interviewed or discussed with the Maryland Transportation Authority Police the timeline of events that occurred around the time of the bridge strike. Though that two sets of information we're putting together in a timeline that we will release. Two pilots.
That's interesting. Mel, thoughts on that before we head on over to Melanie to give us some perspective?
I'm going to wait out for Mel to come on.
Yeah. Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah. Well, now the new bullshit. Hold on a second. The new bullshit we're hearing is that there was a super virus on here, and that's how they released it on the United States, and it's going to start killing everybody here shortly. That's the new conspiracy theory. So we've moved past explosives. We've moved past Ukrainian Jewish space lasers. We've moved past that the captain was drunk. We've moved. Now we're in full crazy ass mode as people say that there was contagion on there, and they released a super virus into the atmosphere, and that's now the new bullshit. All right.
Mother F.
All right, so couple questions.
Okay.
Where is the bridge located on this particular ship? Not the bridge that collapsed, but yeah.
Hey, Melanie. So hold on one second.
Okay.
As far as the bridge is usually above the stack in the rear of the ship. I've seen multiple. Some are in the middle. Aircraft carriers. You look. They're
Here, bring
60,
this to Papa.
60-40. Sorry, we can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So most of these are in the rear of the ship, and you'll see the overall bridge and the mast of the actual vessel is usually in the back, and then the stack is in front. It's very similar to most ships when they're crabbing, like the Northwestern has a front bridge and then it has a back. It just depends, but most of them are usually in the back, to my understanding, but we'll go from there. What was the other questions, Liv?
I think that was about it. Kevin asked something, but I'm not quite sure exactly.
Yeah, well, we don't like Kevin, so we're not going to answer that.
But for me, my information.
Yeah.
How is the ship holding up that part of the bridge? Is it gonna?
Oh yeah, that ship's not going anywhere. Like, understand this is that thing's maximum capacity is almost 100,000 pounds. So that bridge is doing nothing. It's riding it a little low. You can see it dipping, and it's obviously putting some pretty good weight on there. But the whole integrity of the vehicle is completely intact. In fact, that's the thing, is they all have reinforced hulls. They're very, very strong. They're designed to stay afloat and not to take a hull impact or a side impact and start taking on water. So at this point, there's nothing that. There's no divers under there. They're not trying to seal any hull integrity, none of that shit. So it's just going to sit there until they can clear a lot of that, and they're going to have to cut a lot of that. They're going to have to cut that ship out because I guarantee some of that metal is fused to the deck of that vessel. I guarantee it's yeah, that was a lot of energy. Go ahead. Anything else, Liv?
Nope, that's it for
All
us.
right. I got Melanie. Is that who I got?
Yeah.
What's going on, Melanie? Talk to me, sister. Tell everybody why the hell you're important and why we should listen to you.
My Uncle Bobby was a captain and a navigator for the Pilots Association, and all three of his sons and his son-in-law are all one.
Okay.
So every foreign vessel that enters any of our harbors, any of our rivers, going to any of our docks, has to have one of those people aboard, whether it's a pilot from the Harbor Association, the Pilots Association, any association affiliate has to have one. And they do not debark till they get to the outskirts where they're about to enter open water. Then the boat comes along that ship, they deport, and they go.
Okay, so here's the question. Is it a tug or is it a ship?
No, it's a ship. Boat, like
Melanie,
let's
it's okay.
say just like a regular boat or a tug can bring them.
For the sake of just, being for brevity, you know how I am. I just like, yes,
sorry.
no.
Yeah.
No, don't be, because I want you to expand on certain questions. So it's going to be a vessel.
Okay.
It's probably going to be a fast moving, like a small, Coast Guard type, maybe even possibly a raft. Right. Like an SDV.
Correct.
So, okay. So it's just going to be, it's just, or, like a fast attack boat. Okay. So they'll go in, they'll pick them up, they'll run them to an island, and they'll get in a truck, and then they'll drive back to the harbor. So why would that be necessary when they're leaving?
Until they get to the mouth, to outer waters, as long as they're on inlet, they have to have a pilot and a navigator to do those things. They have to know the dredge, the space, everything, the traffic. The pilots are all trained in certain areas.
Yep. Okay. So the reason why they do this is because captains go into hundreds of different ports. They may not understand all the idiosyncrasies of that channel and in that harbor. So the master, pilot master, harbor master, that person ultimately does know every nook and cranny and how the ship responds, and ultimately make sure that they kind of drive. It's kind of like when you're on the highway, no problem. But then when you get to an off ramp and you have to go through a farm and you got to take a left at the frickin' stop sign and then do a U-turn at the subway to get to somebody's house, your uncle jumps in and goes, "Let me drive." Okay, got it. All right.
Exactly.
So if that's all true, then how is the insurance company going to be responsible for the freighting company if it was a harbor master piloting it?
If the pilot was behind the helm, or did they have a navigator? I know they said pilot, but all the navigators also have pilot license, and a lot of times are referred to as pilots.
Two pilots is what they said.
The navigator sits there. They had two pilots? Okay.
That's what they said, yeah.
It depends on who had the helm, but the pilot is insured through the association they work for.
Well, right, but what I'm saying is that the pilot wouldn't be insured through the shipping company and the owner of the vessel. This would then fall onto the harbor and the state, wouldn't it?
It depends if it's the era, because they did have a maintenance fault before they left port, which they supposedly fixed.
That's true.
So
that's true.
So if that wasn't completely fixed, it falls on the engineers and the company that fixed that boat.
Oh man, so this is why this investigation is going to take This is why it's going to take 1 to 2 years, because now you've got engineering. You're going to have to check the parts that were replaced. You're going to have to go ahead and check both pilots, both harbor masters. You're going to even have to now get involved with the tugs who should have been there on a rescue mission. Why didn't they follow it all the way out when it was under disrepair, when it just had a service call? Why wouldn't you make sure? Then you got to check the captain. You got to check all the crew. You got to check anyone who serviced that ship. You got to look at everyone who loaded that ship, because they have to figure out if it's a dispersal issue of weight that could have caused these problems. Shit, this is going to take a while, right?
Well, I can tell you the pilot that was aboard is on no contact, and the attorneys for the association he worked for are already there.
Yeah, the unions jumped all over this like white on rice. The lawyers jumped on this. The unions, of course they did. And everyone's like, well, why are they making the pilot secret? Well, this is why. Because understand that that's their job as union reps, to protect this captain. They're going to go ahead and put him in hiding. Correct. They're going to strip his profiles. They're going to do whatever they can to protect his innocence. And good, because it should be. But the investigation, it now takes a really big turn, considering that those tugs did not assist, because if it did have repair, you would think it would be SOP that would at least just click something that would say, if you're going to send something out that had some engine issues, or it had hydraulic issues, or it had propulsion issues, or nav issues.
I asked that question.
Okay, what do they say?
I asked that question. And the where they were, the river was wide enough. They did not require, and it wasn't curvy like the Mississippi is. Like
that's what I said.
Right.
That's right. That's what I said.
It's
they were
like
in the channel
all the way down, and it's very narrow. So when you get up to 1,200 feet and above wide, you don't need a tugboat siding with you.
Right. Well, I tried to explain that to people
If there's
that
a pilot.
leaving the harbor
Yeah.
is not required to have tugs. It used to be, but over 2 decades ago, a lot of these inlets, a lot of these harbors have been dredged, they've been widened, they've been retrofitted, and tugs, unfortunately, are kind of a thing of the past. I have a feeling after this that they're going to start looking about making tugs mandatory to have that ability, because this could have been avoided with tugs. See, that's when people say, where are the tugs? I'm like, well, they weren't required to be there. However, if they were there, most assuredly would have been able to at least intercept this in ahead of time to get this thing redirected and literally bumper car that son of a bitch through that opening.
Absolutely. Depending on if the tugs that go along the sides of those container ships are huge. They are massive. They really
Oh, they're
are. And they
beasts.
come packing power.
Yeah, but you and I
'Cause,
both know.
I live
but-
on the Mississippi. So I am en route to where all the boats go to dock at the Baton Rouge dock.
Yeah, well,
So
I know
I
what tug.
see these ships pass, and the tugboats, they got to move to the side, and they're pushing
Oh, I know.
20 barges filled with stuff.
Oh, listen, listen. They used to push our aircraft carriers, and I'd be shocked because there'd be 2 tugs, and I'm like, how? I mean, they're incredible.
Exactly.
But my point is when you got something moving at 8.5 knots, that's 150,000 pounds, in between a bridge and up against a channel. Don't tell me that those tugs would have gone in there and tried to. You're asking for death. I'm sorry. There's just no way.
That's another thing. I
Yeah.
asked him about the speed they were going. He said what had to have happened for them to be even going 8 knots in the harbor like that would be the undercurrent and the overcurrent were going at odds. And they had to push against the current. That is the only reason he would have been going 8 knots.
Yeah, what was he saying? What was the overall speed outside of knots? 20, 30 miles an hour in the current, or what?
Correct. I don't know. I just know he said that's the only reason he can see that pilot was doing that amount of knots in the harbor like that, not waiting to get downstream past the dock, would be that he is going against the massive currents, undercurrent, and overcurrents that were going at odds with each other. So one was going left and one was going right.
Well, that's interesting because then that completely changes. Well, that pushes what Mel and I were saying, is that inlet. You saw the video.
Anchor, yes.
Yeah. Well, that inlet that was on the starboard side, right, was pushing water, and if that was moving, that would create a massive amount of turbulence.
Correct.
And a lot of rip and a lot of current in that area. And when that vessel entered, that is possibly something that was done. We don't know what the repair was, but could have slowed down the propeller enough. It could have went against the engine. It could have stripped a gear. We don't know what happened. But my point is
Correct.
that for some reason that inlet makes me feel like something there is when everything went wrong.
So what he told me about dropping the anchor, if the undercurrent was going the opposite way from the ship and the ship was trying to fight the other side of the current, dropping that anchor would have pulled it to that undercurrent and hopefully righted the ship. They have a lot of problems with that with the Mississippi. The Mississippi has tons of undercurrent that are stronger
tell
than
me
the
again.
top.
I got a question.
Mel, tell me that again.
Okay, so if you have an undercurrent, let's say that's going to the right, and your top current's going to the left, and your ship
I
is
understand.
coming to the right, so it's fighting the top current.
Right.
Dropping that anchor would have pulled the boat back, hopefully by the strength of the undercurrent, to help pull it back and correct itself.
Really?
Yeah, so you have to, like the Mississippi has undercurrents that are really stronger than the top currents. And when you drop anchor to correct, they have a depth finder that's on those big ships that will tell him at what speed and how deep the undercurrent is going versus the top current.
Right, which would make sense. So why would he put it, why would the anchor have been that choice
If the
Oh,
the
I know
condi-
why.
if the
I know
computers
why.
went
I know why.
down-
I know why. I know why. Mel, I answer my own question. This is why. So
Okay.
this is why. This is why ports. Well, just tell me if I'm wrong. Port side anchor is what they dropped, and starboard failed. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Emergency release on second anchor didn't go, which is if you try to drop both anchors, that's going to give you
would
at
just
least.
turned your,
That's
did a
right.
spin.
That's interesting.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Liv.
Yep.
Wouldn't the upcoming solar event have an effect on the currents right now?
No,
No?
no. Yeah,
No, not
no,
not in those areas.
not in that. Not well, not even. No, no. The it's really interesting how tidal pull works. It is like a lot of people think you have your globe, you have your Earth, and whatever side the moon is shining light on, it gets gravitational pull. That's not the way it works. In fact, the gravitational pull of the moon is like a cone, and it's like a flashlight that goes across the Earth, and the water that faces that gravitational tidal pull will swell. And in fact, you can see the water like a bulbulous mass around the Earth's globe rise. And when they use hydrodynamics and magnetic frickin' sensors and all this other shit, you can see the path of the gravitational pull of the moon, which goes around, and essentially that cone will create high tide for those areas that are affected by and fall within the parameters of that gravitational pull of the moon. But it's not anything that's shining light on it not shining light, refracting light, reflecting light from the sun on its surface onto the Earth's surface is not where gravitational pull is created. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Melanie, did you understand what I just said? Okay, I'm not like
Yeah,
doing what I
no,
always do.
I got it.
Okay, cool. So what else, Liv?
That was it.
Melanie, what else did we miss in here? What else did we screw up?
I don't think y'all screwed anything up. I think the problem is we don't know what the currents were. We know he was going 8 knots. And like I said, from my cousin, he was like, the only reason in a harbor at that area to be going that fast is that he's going against the grain. So he's going against the current.
Okay.
Right? So he's got to pick up enough to flow and fight the current. If he was going with the current would have took him. He wouldn't have really had to use that much energy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. But now what bothers me is people have been asking the question, well, where were the tugs? And I'm like, well, the tugs aren't required to take him, and they aren't. We now know that the harbor master or pilot is required because they're from a foreign country. So that's interesting.
Correct.
But the one thing that I now have to ask is if you had to do a repair, whether it be a modular repair or some sort of overhaul or just a minor repair that ultimately affected propulsion or overall steerage, how in the fuck did you let that thing go without a tug?
Yes, when they load at the mouth, when the pilots and the navigators load at the mouth before they come into a port of any type, there is a checklist they have to go through before they go any further, which means they have to have, if they don't have the required number of people on board, they get a fail check, right? If the reports aren't in order for any maintenance, if those aren't up to date, that's a fail check. So if they fail too many checks, they're not allowed back in the port until all of that is up to date.
Right. Well,
So it all had to be good, and then something happened in port, which we found out they had to fix something. But was the part faulty? Did they not clean up after the mess? Because he said the black smoke he saw literally could have been if your
it's a
your
gas
engine
mixture.
failed, and if you had grease oil on board.
Yep.
And that can literally heat up and make a black smoke. Not necessarily a fire yet, but a black
or blue smoke, right? You're right. There's so many things when that engine. Either way, that amount of exhaust is never good because either you're emergency reversing engines, which isn't always a good choice, or you can throw a prop in that situation. You can blow a bearing in that situation. You can blow a head gasket in that situation. I mean, these things work very very similar to, although the amount of noise and the amount of it's like literally being inside of a car engine. I mean, it's incredible being in the engine room. It's a scary and terrifying place. It's like shotguns going off every freaking quarter of a second. Hold on. So Melanie, hold on. Melanie, hold on. Let me finish.
Okay.
So the thing that I will say about this whole thing that once again makes me go, wait a second, is the black smoke. You could have an oil to fuel mixture. You could have a too high of an oxygen mix in the engine itself. You could have bad diesel fuel that has too much water in it. There's so many things that could be going wrong. None of them are really good with the black smoke situation. Either way, you had power failure, you lose propulsion. All of that could have been avoided with either A, running a stress test with the tugs supporting it, or simply having the tugs go out to sea with it and allowing it to go ahead in a larger area with less infrastructure, which is simply just past that one man-made island, Civil War Island, past that, and they could have run some maneuvers and some tests out there to see how the repair worked before literally just rolling the dice. I think you're going to see some negligence. I think you're going to see things like that are going to come out of this. But once again, not a terrorist hijacking and not Jewish space lasers. Melanie, go ahead.
No. Running those engines, and let's say the heating thing for the fuel was just fixed. If there was no cleanup, running them that hard, fighting against the current, could have also caused it to just shut itself down because it overheated.
Right. Well, if you also,
he said, this is going to fall on the engineering.
I think so. But you also, when you have an undercurrent and a top current, so you're going to have literally against that prop running in a circular pattern, depending upon which way it's going, counterclockwise or clockwise, depending upon which way it's trying to move. If you have constant current and flow coming in, that puts stresses on the prop. That can put stresses on hydraulics. There's so many things that can go wrong. It's a question of, is it an engineering issue? Was it negligence? We don't know. We're going to have to find out. But either way, it's not explosives. It's not just can we just focus on the facts? That's at least what we try to do on the show, right?
Yeah.
Melanie, how are we doing overall? What grade are you going to give us?
Oh, I'm going to give you an A. You have really dug into every aspect.
Okay.
Every detail you have broken it down for everybody. You slowed the video down for everybody to see. Now you bring Mel on who's been on these ships. You bring me on who has families that are literally pilots and navigators of these ships.
Yeah.
And I spoke to them personally. I have a whole full email from him because he's getting aboard a ship that's coming to Baton Rouge Port. So he had to cut me off. But and I've driven. They pay me like $40-something an hour to go pick them up or go drop them off, because you got to go drop them off at the dock. The boat brings them to the ship, and then they call ahead for me to meet them and pick them back up at the dock. And that's $40 an hour I get paid to make that drive, plus expenses.
Wow, I'm getting a stink eye from my wife. What?
I've hit the button at least 75 times this podcast, and I'm in the middle of something trying to read comments. People are throwing insults, and I've been flagged.
Who's throwing insults?
Scott Vander Susan and Joe Corteil or something.
From where?
Facebook. They're going back and forth. I'm trying to figure out.
Well, who are they insulting? Me?
Each other. They're insulting each other.
Who cares?
So I'm trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out this whole thing.
Boys will be boys. Just let them insult each other. Who cares? As long as they're not insulting me. If they're insulting me, ban them. I'm just kidding. Melanie, you're a doll. You're amazing. Thank you. Thanks for watching. And
you're welcome.
Thanks for everything
you do. And I
hope
this helps you.
Oh, it helped me tremendous. Listen,
little bit.
It helped me understand civilian cargo ships because, like I said, I had no idea that there wasn't an aft anchor on. It just I didn't even think about it. I read the initial report and they said that the anchor was aft, but what they meant is that the vessel ran over its own anchor. But you don't think about certain things. God, I'm not perfect, man. I wish I was. I've definitely made a couple mistakes.
Some of those ships have 3 anchors.
I know that, but Mel, I know, but
okay.
but Mel's right. She's absolutely right. I have on a military ship. I have never seen an aft anchor. Now I've seen an aft anchor on smaller, like skiffs or small fast tack boats and things like that. But not on a cutter, not on a cruiser, not on a Arleigh Burke or especially an aircraft carrier. It's all forward. It's always been forward. But my point is that the original report that I read said that the anchor was aft, and it made me go, duh. But you don't know what you don't know. I mean, I'm not perfect. I don't have writers, for God's sakes. We got to put this shit together ourselves. We make mistakes. Hell, I didn't even know the difference between starboard and port last night. My RDCs would kick my ass. Kick my ass. Push-ups all day long.
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I wouldn't know this if I didn't have pilots in my family. So.
Yeah. All right, Mel, you are an awesome, awesome person. Thank you. We love having you. We love having you when you call. So thanks for being here. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks, Mel.
Okay, darling. Bye-bye.
All right, sweetie.
Bye,
See ya.
darling.
See ya. I
All right, so
love her.
my question for you
Why are they?
is-
So who's fighting? Is it so? So throughout this, any shit talkers? Anybody? Space lasers.
Well, somebody called Mel an idiot when she was on the phone, and that didn't play very
You guys
well
got
at
to
all.
stop don't let these people bother you. Go ahead.
Well, it was when she was on the phone, and he insulted her, and so
That's okay. I insulted Mel. She insulted me. I mean, she was
I don't know.
she inadvertently called me a stupid American sailor, which it's kind of true.
Apparently, one of these guys lives in Baltimore Harbor and can see the bridge outside of his back door or something.
Okay, Sarah Palin.
And he thinks it's some conspiracy.
Oh,
I
fuck
don't
you.
know. I was like, I lost track.
Whatever, dude. Okay, Sarah
don't know.
Palin. I can
Anyway,
see
my
Russia
question-
from my house. You gotta let me finish. If you don't let me do the jokes, there's nobody wants to watch the show. You gotta let me have my moment, man. Why? One moment.
I'm sure 500 people differ that they're not going to not watch the show if you don't tell a joke.
I think they find me funny and
When you do your
cheeky.
impersonations, absolutely.
Well, I was trying to, but you interrupted me.
Why? Because I've been trying to ask a question for like 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, Massa. Go ahead. Ask me that question, ma'am.
Damn right.
I'll go ahead and do it for you.
Damn right.
What do you got for me? I'm here. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What you need?
Exactly.
What
That's
you
how
need,
it
ma'am?
always should be.
Ma'am, what can I get you some iced
Hey,
tea?
can you just shut up so I can ask a
Yeah,
question
just
now?
ask your fucking question.
My goodness. Okay. How long do you think it's going to take to get that whole thing cleaned up and to get the port open again?
Buddy, who's an Army Corps of Engineers, is like best case scenario 3 to 4 months. Worst case scenario 8 to 10 months.
Oof.
That it could take a while. And the reason why is that you can't just get a crane and pick up those pieces, right? Because that's not the way cranes work. So, well, why don't you have a ship with a crane
Plus,
on
it's
it?
in the water. It's going to be a little hard.
Right. So you get a ship with a crane, so you've got to cut it into sections, manageable sections. So you got to go in there and you guys got to cut it. And when I say cut it, it's cut it. It's like there's no, they're not going to use Jewish space lasers, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Laura, whatever her face is. So they're not going to use space lasers. So they're going to physically have the Army Corps of Engineer and others go in there and literally cut the steel. That's going to take some time. Then you got to consider this because it was built in 1974. Does it have asbestos? So is it hazardous for them to do the removal? Then you have a whole nother level of complexity in this, right? So if there are, portions of that bridge, now I don't know because I want to say 1971, but I don't know if that's true. It might be 79, but there was asbestos in the World Trade Center and a whole bunch of shit you don't want to breathe. So if you have asbestos in these metals and the paints and everything else, and even lead on the paint or whatever it is, and you're going to cut through that shit, you got to have rebreathers, respirators, you got to have washing stations, and it just completely changes the complexity of the job. So there's a lot of questions you have to ask for removal. So I can't answer that question, but I'll tell you what my buddy's reaction was from the Army Corps of Engineers. It is, how many people? We got enough. Clusterfuck. Chinese fire drill. So it's a daunting task. And the thing is a lot of that shit's submerged, right? So it's underwater in a channel with current. I mean, and you got to clear all that out so it doesn't, literally gut another vessel. And you got to get all that concrete out. There's a couple 100,000 tons of metal, a couple 100,000 tons of concrete. There's wire and then rebar, and some of that shit's going to be fused together. It's gonna be a beast.
Apparently, we know nothing because we don't live in Baltimore now.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck Baltimore. Who the fuck wants to live in that shithole?
Apparently, the dude who can see the bridge from his back porch.
I can see Baltimore from my backyard. Okay, Sarah Palin. Who give it? Just don't even list. Don't even give those guys time of day.
Funny.
Dude, you're from Baltimore, dude. So now you have an 80% chance of getting shot and a 20% chance of having a bridge fall on you. Good luck, dude. And 100% chance the Baltimore Ravens doing fuck all in football. So. You came to the wrong show, bro. We fucking interact with douchebags here, and we eat you guys for breakfast. You eat douchebags for breakfast? No. What else? I mean, what else? I mean, guys, first of all, thanks so. Holy crap! We almost had 600 people on. That's just awesome. By the way, Deanna's episode dropped, y'all. If you haven't had a chance to see it, Deanna is. She spelled my name wrong. Son of a bitch,
She
Deanna.
also said you were someone from Fox News the last time.
I know she spelled my name wrong.
I couldn't see it. What did she
Matt Spear, Spear.
Oh, and it's not plural either.
Damn it. Oh, but I look good.
You always look good.
That's true. That's a good point. So let's see what she has to say. We'll put this. I mean, we're already late. I mean, what are the Rangers doing to my abs?
I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, you know what's funny is Tuner Monkey asked me a couple of questions and was like, one, do you think the Avs will win the cup this year? Okay. And two, do you think the Leafs will make it out of the first round? And my response was, I hope so. They look just as good, if not better, than 22. And I said, I don't think the Leafs are going to make it out of the first round for at least another 50 years.
Yeah, you're just being mean. You're just being nasty. All right, let's
then he goes, that was a little savage. He goes, well, at least Nathan McKinnon brings the cup up here. And I said, that's about the closest you're going to get to a cup.
All right, so let's watch. So I was on Deanna's show. She's on Rumble. And she invites me onto her show, which is really nice. I don't know her from Adam. She's on the Stu Peters network. I don't like Stu Peters. But I do like Deanna, and she's a nice lady, and she's fun. And she called me to talk about P. Diddy, and I'm like, wait a second. Of all the gin joints, like of all the things you could utilize this bag of tricks, P. Diddy, I don't even know who the fuck that is. Oh, pardon my French. Sorry, it's getting late. Sorry, folks. I've been doing good, not cussing. But I don't know who that is, so I had to research P. Diddy. And this is what the show was. So it's.
I gotta go to the bathroom. Sorry.
For the last few years, the people have kind of brushed it off, and
then it's comparable to John, but
Unfriend Me show is joining us today to speculate this and really unpack all the latest details and salacious allegations. Welcome back to Shots Fire. How's it going, Matt?
It's good. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me. This is new to me. There's a lot covered that you touched on, but what stands out the most to me is his criminal record, is how someone can be accused so many times in the United States, and then it's comparable to something like Trump or other people who were accused of something just singularly, and all of a sudden the whole world's on fire. But this guy, his rap sheet is extensive, and I'm not the guy who takes notes. I like you. I like to shoot from the hip. But a lawsuit came out in 1991, claims that him and Aaron Hall sexually assaulted 2 women and beat one physically.
Beat one, okay.
Fired from Uptown Records. Alleged drug use and drugged and assaulted and videotaped another person. Arrested for a club New York with J-Lo on weapons charges and a gun, a shooting that actually took place. And this just goes on and on and on. And then you have the whole Casey Ventura thing, where that lawsuit actually went over, a period of 6-7 years. So this is what we know. His plane went ahead and flew overseas, and a lot of people speculated that he was fleeing the country.
Yeah.
He has sold stock and tried to go as liquid as he can on some of his companies. And Bad Boy Records, I guess that's a good label for a real bad boy.
Bad Boy Records. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the latest is that he's had his homes raided.
Anyway, so if you want to go watch me completely muck this up and get picked to be a guest on a topic that I really didn't know a lot about, but it wound up actually being a fairly good interview. We talked about the vaccine a little bit. We talked about P. Diddy, and I knew enough after researching 10 or 12 articles just to be dangerous. But it was a fun conversation. You guys can go watch that over on Rumble. I tagged it on Twitter as well if you want to go see it. I'm sure you've had enough of me over the last few days. Folks, listen, we want to say thank you we have over 500 people on still, which is just amazing. Olivia and I want to welcome you to the Don't Unfriend Me show. We try to interact with people all the time. It's very important to us, but it gets hard during these shows to talk to everybody. But if you have a question or you just want to ask us something at any time, you can go to thedumbshow.com. There you can go ahead and contact me. What's great, we have all of our old shows. We have our podcast. We have some great shirts, awesome swag, coffee, everything else. And most importantly, we are privately funded. You didn't hear me try to sell anything on this show to you. You didn't hear me try to go ahead and get you a club subscription or tell you to join something. We work off of donations and also the ad revenue we get from Facebook and Rumble and other places. So if you have an opportunity, you've taken care of veterans first. That's one of the most important things we do here. If you've given some money to Travis Manion or Purple Heart Foundation or Tunnels for Towers, thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. If you've bought something lovely for yourself or your wife or your husband, good. Take care of your family. And if you're just sitting around, you got a little bit extra in the pocketbook, please go to linktapgo/thedumbshow. We're going to put it in the link for you, or you can go to PayPal.me/don'tunfriendme, just like it sounds and spells, and you guys can help us out. I haven't checked the old email meter. I've got to check it real quick and see what we've got. We do have a donation, $21 again. Dia, thank you for the $21. We got a $10 donation also from Vicky. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. So if you guys want to, stop on by thedumbshow.com. There's some great swag, great shirts. Everything is veteran made. It is beautiful quality stuff. It's a little bit more expensive than most places because we don't sell tchotchke shit. We like high quality merchandise that lasts. So you can wash it 20 times, and every time you do, it gets better and better and better. Liv.
If you want to really interact with me and have conversations with me throughout the show, go on YouTube or Rumble. I can't keep up with Facebook. It's just too fast and too much. But so just saying.
You like it fat. Okay. So thanks for watching. Folks,
what is on your mind, sir?
Yeah, I think you freaking know. It's the same thing it always is. It's sex. I'm a guy. Sex, boats, and Jewish space lasers.
Apparently.
You know what I'm about. Here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow is Red Friday. So first of all, get your red on, right? Remember, everyone deployed. Very, very important. Also, 988 Veteran Crisis Hotline, a number that you can share with a veteran. If you know a veteran who's struggling, who's having a bad time, a little bit down on their luck, it's okay to be concerned. You can reach out to 988, press 1, and then you can get a hold of a Veteran Crisis Hotline counselor. They will reach out to that veteran for you free of charge, completely anonymously, if you recognize the signs. Remember, we need swim buddies, we need battle buddies, but right now, more importantly, we need anybody to care enough to help out a veteran. Please do so. Last but not least, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have news in the morning. I will probably have a morning show, and then we'll be back at 7 o'clock, hopefully no longer to talk about this boat. I think we've done everything we can. Let's let the NTSB come out. Let's put aside all the Bigfoot and Jewish space lasers and George Soros and all this other crap sinking this vessel, and let's let it play out. Remember, take care of each other, love each other, be good to each other. We'll see you guys.
Hang on. Tomorrow, I know Amy's going to be on, and Alan from Father's Lives Matter might be on. He said he was. I got to talk to him tomorrow to make sure.
What?
I told you that. He was going to be on last Friday. We weren't sure if we were going on. He said, I'll go next Friday then. So he might be on live tomorrow with
When's
us.
he going to be on my when am I going to get to go on his show? Why does he always...
I'll talk to you about that later.
All right. Well,
so it's going to, if he's on, it's going to be a good show.
You guys got to be there because Alan's amazing from Father's Lives Matter. He's a huge, huge proponent of our show. We love him too. So listen, this, last but not least, there's plenty of people I've never spoken to before. This is the Don't Unfriend Me show. We cover everything. Now, here's the one thing. You're going to get your feathers ruffled on this show. There's going to be things that I say that you don't like. There's going to be things that Olivia says that you don't like. There's going to be It's turned out her mic. So much easier. So I wish I had a mute button for life. So anyway, so there's going to be times when we get on each other's nerves, but here's what it comes down to. We don't have to agree on everything. We do not have to think that everything that I say is right. I don't have to agree with you. But what we do try to do here is we try to stick to the facts, right? We don't make predictions. We don't do guesswork. We listen to what's being said, we disseminate it, we process it, and then we go ahead and talk about it. That's what we do. So if at any time you don't like what's happening, it's really simple just to say, hey, I don't agree with that, or whatever. You don't need to throw a hissy fit. You don't need to start calling me a sea sucker. You don't need to insult my wife and my kids. You don't need to give me death threats. All you need to do, just go away for a while. Maybe the next time you come back, it'll be better, or maybe it won't. But either way, we'll be here for you. Remember, we can agree, we can disagree. You can love me, you can hate me. Just don't unfriend me. It's been a while since we said that. See you guys tomorrow bright and early, and we'll see you at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Good night.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Did you turn off the light behind me?